Guys, thank you for joining me today. And first of all, let me just say this, that I wrote an open letter to the president of France because of what has happened. So please, if you can, go share this letter on Twitter. I wrote it, I posted it on Twitter. It's a time for us to take actions, and it's a time to take extra step. If we're just gonna be talking and not really reaching out to people who are involved, people who can actually make decisions for these things, then we are not gonna see the change. We are not gonna see the difference. So I wrote a letter, and I want to appreciate my brother, Professor Ezra, because, you know, as soon as I wrote, I sent it to him, and he gave me more ideas, and I had to write it again. And this right here, it's a letter, an open letter to the president of France, because of what has happened in Niger on Saturday, 27th on Saturday. If you don't know what has happened, let me first of all share with you what has happened. This tweet as well, my brother, Professor Ezra, sent this to me today. And I was with my friend, and I saw this that says, French troops killed 2 people, injured 18 in Niger after being confronted by angry protesters. And it says, Niger is world's 4th largest uranium producer. Its uranium mines are mostly owned by French companies. Niger uranium produced 40% of France's electricity, while 89% of Niger's people have no electricity. So uranium in Niger produced 40% of France's electricity. So the French electricity you see, 40% of that comes from Niger uranium, but 89% of Niger people have no electricity. Just take a moment and think about that. Think about that. That is ridiculous. And that is evil. I don't care what kind of treats, what kind of contract they have with one another between, you know, Niger and France. But this right here is what we're talking about all the time, always. When I saw this news, I got really mad. I got really angry. So I tweeted some stuff. The first tweet, it was, really this one. And I did a little bit of live stream. So I just want to show you guys, you know, where everything comes from, all right? Because I want you guys to be able to see that this is not just coming from nowhere. It comes from something. Don't know, I can't see this tweet. Where are those tweets? Where are those tweets? Okay, it's here. So the first tweet is this. I tag African Union and I said, African Union, what are you going to do about this? We can't just sit back and watch our people die. I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm frustrated. You guys have to do your damn jobs. Why? Get rid of these people, kick them out of our continent. Africa is for Africans. And I tweeted again that our people are experiencing racism every day in France, but that's not enough for y'all. You still manage to come to our continent and kill our people. I tagged the president of France. We demand justice. I tag African Union again, but you can't be silent now. Where is the goddamn human rights? And I tagged them. And that was the title of the live stream that I did just a couple minutes ago. I mean, a couple hours ago. It was, where is the goddamn human rights and African Union? And I was thinking, I was like, all right, I can be angry, I can be mad, but this is not going to change anything. Then I need to do something. So I started to write this letter, an open letter to the president of France. If you can, please go and share, because we want them to see. We want him to see. We want human rights to see. We want African Union to see that this time is no longer about we cannot wait for African Union. It's gonna be crazy. I can blame African Union as much as I can, but I cannot just sit back. We cannot sit back and waiting for them to send something and to say something while we can say something as the people of Africa, as one African. So this is my open letter that I wrote to him. And mind you guys, English is not my first language, so go easy on me, all right? I just finished right now. That's why I was that's why I came here late. We're supposed to start at 9, but I came here late because I was still finishing this, and I just posted it right now. And this is what I wrote. One Africa, dear Emmanuel Malcolm, we need justice, and we need it right now. Niger is world's 4th largest uranium producer. Its uranium mines are mostly owned by French companies. Niger uranium produced 40% of French electricity, while 86% of Niger people have no electricity. Your country has been exploiting Africa for a very long time, and you have been benefiting and developing because of Africa's resources. It's a time to acknowledge that and treat Africa with respect, not only as equal partners, but as your savior. And that's the fact. We are French savior. We are their saviors. Our people have been humiliated and dehumanized in your country for so long. I heard stories of how Black people are being treated in France. It's a time to make policies to defend our people. Everyone deserves a fair chance, and our people should be given the royal treatment for all Africa has been doing for your country. Remember what your former president said. We have to be honest and acknowledge that a big part of the money in our bank comes precisely from exploiting of the African continent. If you want to make a difference in your regime and set a good example to the rest of the world, please do the right thing. And these are 3 things that I'm asking. We need justice for our 2 brothers who have been killed by your people in Niger on September 27th. Second, take your troops out of our continent. We can still do business without your military wandering around our homes. It's not safe. Third, that's why 2 people were killed on 27th because of those troops. Third, end the occupation tax to your country, the occupation tax your country imposes on your former colonies here in Africa. It's even ridiculous asking about this. The history is clear. How France humiliated and tortured our ancestors. Sadly, you're still doing the same thing today. Let me be clear. We are not lesser than you. The truth is Africa has been sustaining your country for so long. Now it's a time to acknowledge that. Remember, Africa is not for friends, but for Africans. Africa is more than happy to continue to trade, even grow its relationship with friends, but it must be from the perspective of respect and equality. That's the letter. And again, I want to appreciate Professor Ezra for putting his insight in this letter. And it's a time for us to raise our voice. It's a time for us to do something more than that. So if you can, go and reshare this because we want them to see it. Our brothers, our 2 brothers just died on 27th. Defending their country, for defending what is rightful theirs in their own country, in our own continent. Our 2 brothers. They had families, they had dreams. I don't know if they had kids. I don't know details about these 2 people, but I'm going to need to find out about that. But they died. And this is what happened. This is crazy. This is what happened, guys. Let me share with you here. He was able to leave Burkina Faso on Friday, but ran into a new protest on Saturday. You remember, they were at Burkina Faso, and Burkina Faso people, they were stopping them from entering the country. They stood there and they said, you know what? You guys cannot cross until you show us what is inside. They refused. They didn't do that. So they were staying there for almost the whole day. But they managed to cross through. And on Saturday morning, less than 30 kilometers, 19 miles across the borders in western Niger, town of Terra, where it had stopped to spend the night. So they were spending the night here. In its attempts to execute itself, the French forces used force. Guys, they used force. Sadly, we deplore the death of 2 people and 18 injuries. 11 of them serious. Niger Interior Ministry said in a statement, an investigation has been opened to determine the exact circumstances of this tragedy and determine responsibility. What kind of investigation do you need? So that's what happened. They managed to cross Burkina Faso, and you remember people that are blocking them there. They went all the way to Niger, but they killed 2 people, these forces. People who 40% of uranium produced from, from the 40% of electricity in France, it comes from the uranium from Niger. And 86% of Niger people, they don't have electricity. It's dark. So in our own continent, it's dark. But we are supporting them. We are helping them. That 40% of French electricity, do you know how much it will do to Niger? And Niger is a small country. Do you know how much it will do to the whole country of Niger? But yes, you come to our country, you use force, and you kill our people in our country, in our own continent. And we are giving, you're taking things away from us. You are exploiting us. You're using force to our people. You kill our people. Imagine, under the same circumstance, imagine if we killed those 2 troops. Imagine what would happen. Right now, there will be a war between France and Niger. That's what will happen. This is how they will take it serious. But what are we doing as an Africans? Are we taking this serious? The death of 2 people, does it bother you? In our own continent, in our own country, while we are still sustaining them, we have been supporting them, we have been doing everything, everything. We have been exploited and humiliated and being used and being taken advantage of. Yet you come to our country and you kill our people. And this is not the first time. And if you're not waking up, this is not going to be the last time. In the afternoon session, I say, you know what, we can build a wall to protect the entire continent of Africa. We can build a wall that nobody's coming in. Nobody should come in, and then we'll see how long it's going to take for you to survive. Those 40% that you're taking from, the 40% of your electricity that you're taking from our uranium, we'll see how are you going to be. You see, how are you going to operate? And we cannot just sit down here and just talk and just talk and just talk. We demand some actions. We demand some justice to our 2 brothers that have died defending their country, defending their borders, defending their people. And you're using your force to our own people. These are our people. Think about these guys, those 2 people, if they're your dad, your mom, or your family, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do? I'm asking myself, man, that what did we do? Like, what did we do wrong, Africa? What did we do wrong? Why these things, they keep happening, one after another one. They keep happening. US, they're still interfering in Ethiopia. We've been talking about that. France, they're doing what they're doing right now and killing our people. And those are just things that we know. Do you know how many people have been killed do you know how many people? And we don't know. And we don't know. Do you know how many people have been killed? Our blood, our own people. In our own continent, in our own land. You're doing that. In your country, you humiliate us. You treat us as an animals. I talked to my friend in France. How they experience France is one of the worst places for racism. Worst place. There's a lot of black people there, but they experience it's worse experience. The people that will curse at you. The same thing as Spain and some other European countries there. You treat our people like animals. And you come to our continent and our country and you kill our people. And we are staying silent. We are silent. And I see here 83 people joining. Because maybe you're not interested. about what's going on in Burkina Faso or in Niger. You're not interested. But mind you, these are your brothers and your sisters, and they're dying. Somebody's killing them. Colonizers killing them. They're killing them. If that doesn't bother you, I don't know what will bother you. Do you want that to happen to your country to bother you? Where is Africa? Where is Africa? Where is Africa? If we cannot stand for our people, if we cannot stand for our land, we are no longer going to have any land. We're no longer going to have people. Because all of them, they'll be killed. Today, I was asking my mom and my dad, because they were here during the time of colonialism. I was asking them about the experience. My dad, he told me one story that it hardened me. It broke my heart. It broke my heart. He asked me about this one guy, how he was treated as a barbecue. They tied him upside down, and then they put fire right down here, and then he was down there as a little barbecue, burning, crying, and he was my dad. He was there watching, crying, weeping, mourning, torturing him like that. That's what happened in the colonialism. That's what happened. And he told me this, the bad thing, it wasn't even them, but the bad thing, it was our African brothers and sisters who sold us out. That was the bad thing, the worst thing. My mom, she told me that they were in a school. She was young. And then they were supposed to pay a little amount of money for school. But all these soldiers, they came to the school. And they started to punish all the kids that didn't pay for the school fees. Imagine, they're kids, they're little kids. My mom, she was just a little kids back then. They punished them so bad. Not their parents, kids, for not paying for school fee. That's what was happening during colonialism. Not only that, but they were killed, they were tortured, they were raped. Our moms, maybe your grandma is one of them, maybe my grandma is one of them, but they'll never talk about it. But they experienced that. My grandma, I'll tell you guys, my grandma has a lot of white kids. And she's black. Some of them, they're in France. Some of them, they're in Italy. I don't even know what happened. But my relatives, they are actually white, some of them. Okay, they're mixed with black, so they're black. I don't know how it happened. Nobody knows what happened. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding. My grandma has white kids, basically. They're mixed. So we call them black anyways. And all of them, they're not here. They're living in their countries. Some of them, they're in Norway, France, not one, not two, but four. They're out. Do you know what happened? Some of them, they were raped. Maybe my grandma, maybe your grandma's, you'll never know. But that's what happened. But you know, the funny thing is, it's happening right now. It's happening right now. And yet we think we're independent. When are we going to wake up? I don't even want to shout anymore. Because it's not worthy. I don't even want to shout anymore, guys. I'm tired of shouting. I'm tired of shouting. Tired of shouting. I'm tired of being treated this way. This is very personal to me because I have experienced racism every single day for 9 years when I was outside. Every single day. I experienced that. And yet I'm not even sharing my experience. But even here in our countries, I see how people, they treat white people or Asian people when they see them. They see them as the saviors because most of them, they don't know their history. By the way, my mom, she was telling me today, she was like, you know, no, I was asking her, I was asking my mom, I was like, Mom, what if I marry a white girl? I was asking her today. She told me, Mika, I don't like it. And I was like, why, mom, you don't like it? You say, man, like when I see them, I just see those people who tortured, and she started to tell me the story, who tortured us back in the days. And I said, mom, all right, those are sisters, they did that. But I gotta be honest with you, not everybody feels that, not everybody do the same thing right now. Some of them, they're actually against what their ancestors did before in the past. She was like, Mika, I don't trust these people. I don't care, and I don't want them, and it will hurt me so bad. And I told mom, you know, I always try to tell people to treat people with respect. I always try to tell people, but it hurted me that you feel that way too about these people. Because yes, they did a lot of bad things in the past, but mom, not everybody right now. So I was really trying to have a conversation with my mom, but she never accepted it. And it was just a question, a simple question, what if? She was like, I don't want to see people like that. And some of y'all might judge my mom, but she went through the experience and she saw how we're being treated like an animals in the cage, like a little kids are put in the cage and white kids that are looking there playing with them as a pet. Yesterday here, I share pictures with you guys. All right. I don't want to bring back the pain in the past. All right. I don't want to bring back the pain in the past, but this is the truth. And these stories, they're not being told in the American schools, in the European schools. They're not being taught in their schools. They're not telling them this. They're not telling them what they've done to our people. They're not saying it because they feel shamed of what they've did in the past. And because of that, these people, they don't know what the ancestors did in the past to our people. As a result, they keep treating us the same way again and again and again and again. Let me show you some pictures, all right? Let me show you some pictures because you guys, you have to see visually. All right, let me show you some pictures. Look at this picture. Imagine this is just some of the pictures that they were there, right? But it was worse than this. It's just some pictures. It's just some picture. Look at that. Let me share with you more, all right? Let me show you more. That's one. Look at this one. This is maybe your grandpa being treated like that. He wants him to actually wash his shoes with his tongue, but yet he's beating him like that. You don't treat a dog like that. You don't treat a dog like that. Even a dog, you don't treat like that. But this is somebody's grandpa. All right, look at this. This is another picture. All right, I'm not creating any rage here. I'm just telling you what is there online. All right, this is another picture. This is how our ancestors were treated by them. And you go ahead and judge me. All right, these are things that we need. These are things that we need to get it straight. And these are things that we need to talk about. They cannot keep hiding this in their history books. They cannot keep hiding them. And I'm telling you, my mom was telling me this to say, Mika, this is what my mom shows today. I had to ask them. My mom, she was telling me this, that Mika, they messed our mind because she said they were doing this to us. But then imagine this is what they did. And somebody come today that say, at least they gave us education. You should be grateful for that. Education? You want to talk about education? What kind of education did they give it to you? This is how they treated the little kids. You want to talk about education? What kind of education they give us? My mom, she was telling me this, that they treated us this way. But not only that, they gave us education. But education was meant to manipulate us, to brainwash us, to brainwash our brain. So until right now, when we see white people, when we see different color, we think, we feel inferior because of education that they invented, they taught us, and we believe in it, and it messed up our mind. Our mind has been messed up. When you look at them, we think they're superior. We feel they're superior. We feel they're like they're good people. When you look at them, that's how we feel. And you feel like we don't even deserve to be there. That's how we feel. She said they manipulated us. That education, she said, is that those people, they're really smart because they played with education. They gave us education for us not to be able to see them as they are, but to manipulate us and to make us think that we are inferior and we are lesser than them, and we are lesser than them, and they're better than us. And yet, in the same history books, they don't even show them. They don't even tell these stories in their own schools, in their country, because they are ashamed of what they've done in the past. And this right now is 21st century. Still, when you go back there in America, even some black folks, they don't even know the story of Africa. And they came from here. Nobody knows Africa. They don't even know how many countries are in Africa. They think Africa is a single country. That's what they think about. Elitless. They don't know anything. And yet the same system of education we're still using today is keep brainwashing us. Brainwashing us. Again and again and again. They don't talk about what they've done in the past. They don't talk about this. They don't put these pictures in their book. They don't do it. They don't do it. How are we going to survive? How are we going to survive? I've been saying that these people, they treated us like animals. They are treating our people right now, diasporas, like animals. But the fact is, they are animals. They are animals. Because a normal human being can never treat somebody like that. A normal human being cannot treat someone like that, another human being. Cannot do that. A normal human being cannot kill two people, African brothers who are there defending their country. A normal human being cannot do that. This is evil. And this is bad. And we're just sitting here. And African Union is there, it's just sitting there. Human rights are there, they're just sitting there. They really know how to put their nose into a business when it's about them. But for the matters like this, they stay silent. And then you think human right is for us. Africa. If we cannot wake up right now, and if we cannot stand up right now, we are doomed. We are done. We are really done. We are done. We are done. If we cannot wake up right now, we are done. And I'm not being negative. Don't tell me that I'm being negative. I'm being logical. This is logic. We are done. Our two brothers have been killed in our own continent, in their own country, defending their country. And what the government is doing investigation. Under what circumstances doing investigation for something like that? To find whose fault is that? Do you think they're gonna do anything? Man, we demand justice for our two brothers. These people, we have to show them. We have to show them that we love our own people and we stand for our own people. Man, I don't care even if the whole entire continent will step outside and protest for that. Do it. If you can, go and share this letter. This letter that we are sending the Prime Minister, I'm not the Prime Minister, we're sending to the President, my open letter to the President of France. He needs to see this. He needs to see this. I'm telling you guys, we're not gonna ask for AU to do anything anymore. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna wait for that. I'm not gonna ask human rights to do anything because they're not gonna do anything. They ain't gonna do anything. I'm not going to wait for Niger government to do it. They're not going to do anything. Is not going to do anything. But we're going to do something. We're going to raise our voice. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to show them that we care for our brothers. We care for our own. Because if your neighbor is not at peace, you cannot be at peace. And this, it means a lot to us. This means a lot to Africa. We're not going to wait for them to do anything. We're going to do something. You know what? Who choose them to be human rights? Who choose them to be whatever organization for us? Nobody choose them. All right? And so we're going to stand up for ourselves because our voice matters. And we're going to raise our voice and we're going to talk about this. And we're going to talk to them. France has been paralyzing Africa for so long, even after independence. That's what they've been doing. That's what they're good at because they cannot stand alone. The only thing they know is exploiting Africa for their own benefit. Africa is still sustaining France. Do you know how many black people are in France? Do you know how many relations they have with African side in that northern side of Africa? Northern west side of Africa. Even all the way to Congo. And look at what is happening in Congo. And then when you go to France, we are very happy to see the tower. We're very happy to see those streets, but those streets, they've been built because of the blood of our ancestors. They built those places. The blood of our people. The blood of our people. Blood of our people. Blood of our people. We need to be one to survive. This is what President Kenyatta said. Africa must come together for us to survive. He said European Union, they have their own, their union, not because they have their union, not because they like each other, they hate each other, but they want that to survive. We don't hate each other. Africans, we don't. But we need to become one. We need to be united for surviving. Guys, I don't really know, man. I am trying to, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to discern what God is saying, what God is telling me. And I'm going to go ahead and do it. Just like this open letter that I wrote. And so the truth is I cannot even sleep. I don't sleep. Because my heart is burdened and I have a lot of thoughts in my mind and I am trying to think constantly every single day, what can I do? What are we going to do? Something that it will be unstoppable. You cannot stop it. What are we going to do? And I love what Ethiopia did with those UN people. I love it. That's what the whole Africa should do. That's what the whole continent of Africa should do. Let's kick these people out. Let's kick them out of our continent. If you come here, you have to come on our own terms. And let's see if we're not going to be prosperous. Let's see if our people, they're going to continue to kill each other. Because the reason why those Burkina Faso people, they were stopping and demanding to see what is inside, because they're suspecting that those French troops, they're bringing weapons to their country to support the rebels group to fight against their people. That's why, man, I asked myself that where can you get a gun and all these expensive weapons? Oh, you don't even have money for food. You're poor. You don't have money for food. And you have guns. You own all this expensive military stuff. Where do you get them from? So they were demanding to see what is inside. And I'm telling you, it's my country. I can demand whatever the heck I want. My brother Ezra, you share this news with me. I want to share this link with you. Please come on the live stream. Can't even talk, guys. I cannot even talk. I can't talk. Yes. All right. Guys, if you go online and check it out, you will be surprised. Things you will see there. You'll be surprised. Things you're going to see there. You'll be surprised that it's happening today in Africa. You'll be surprised. Geta, welcome to the show. I don't hear you, brother. To Niger, welcome to the show, brother.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, brother. I can hear you. Welcome again to the show.
Yeah, I was trying to be the first today, but that guy beat me to it.
You can't stay back, man. You can't stay back.
Hey, Mika, thank you for the letter that you shared. I think the urgency that we are facing right now must be, it's like we have to escalate. Now is the time to escalate. We have a lot of tools at our disposal, okay? And the only country that seems to be, picking up the fight already is Ethiopia on this issue. Okay, if they have picked up the fight, then they need to go all the way. And then there are a number of tools at their disposal that will force global organizations into having to hear at the highest level. One is the AU Charter, and the second one is the African and the United Nations Charter. And let me give you an example of how this has been done in the past by Ethiopia. 1935, when Abysssinia was being attacked, and you can go and check it. Ethiopia as one of the only African member, I think there was South Africa as well, but Ethiopia as one of the only African member and all these other countries were under colonies. When it came under attack, as a member of the League of Nations, they sought the invocation of collective security that was enshrined in the Charter of the League of Nations. And when the emperor made that speech, they laughed him off the stage. The Italians laughed it off. In fact, the League of Nations put sanction on both Ethiopia and Abyssinia and Italy, arms embargo on both of them. But Italy had a weapon manufacturing infrastructure. Ethiopia didn't. So that extended the fight. 1935. So when you go out there and try to study the start of the Second World War, there are events that are linked to the cause of the war. The invasion of Manchuria in 1931, I think 31 and 32 by Japan. Manchuria was a Chinese territory. And the invasion of Abyssinia by Italy as considered as two key mistakes by the League of Nations. And the warning that was given at the time by the emperor was, we are a small country, and if you cannot stand for the small country, tomorrow will be the big countries that they're coming after you. And it didn't last 3 or 4 years before that happened. 1938, the Second World War started. And it's one of the most horrific history experience that Europeans would like to forget. What is the thing? How do you think, you said earlier, Europeans don't like each other. So I don't want to diverge a little bit too much on that. But and if you want to know how Europeans hate each other, look at the history. They're not even long old history, contemporary history. Like 70 years, there are people who have experienced that. So that's one. The second time Ethiopia did it was in the 1950s. Again, the emperor went to the United Nations, and then he called on the United Nations to stand up with the fight for liberation of Africans. And he brought in the African, I think it was the 1960s, after the Organization of African Unity was formed, he hand-delivered the Charter of the OEU and gave a speech, and that speech is available. He spoke in Amharic. This is a man who speaks multiple languages. But in those stages, he only spoke Amharic. Even in League of Nations, he spoke only Amharic. And now I hope to one day see all these African leaders, when they go and give a speech on this level, they speak in their own language. And let them figure out how to translate it by themselves. And so that's a diversion. But in I think the 1960s, I think I'm not sure exactly the exact date or year, Ethiopia came in and invoked the collective security issue and put the moral question to the world and say, are we going to support the subjugation of an entire race of people? Now, mind you, these Ethiopian leaders are not perfect. In fact, some of them are horrible. I know some of the bad things that emperor was responsible for. Okay, I'm not absolving our leaders of that. I will never absolve the leader of Ethiopia right now. If I find out, let me make it clear to anybody who's here. If I find out, because I'm always looking for evidence, if I find out my leader in Ethiopia claiming to build an Ethiopia, but doing something that breaks Ethiopia apart, like, unjustly targeting people based on their ethnicity, their language, their culture, if he's doing that, if I find out in the future, because at the moment I don't have any evidence, if I find out that is exactly, I will be against him a year. But he's standing for Africa at this moment. He's standing for Ethiopia at this moment. Whether he's executing that the right way, I don't care. That is the issue here. We are saying here, Ethiopia is already in the middle of the fight. I'm asking all Ethiopians to demand your government to invoke the charters that are already established in these international organizations. Even if there's no action that comes out of it, it doesn't matter. But that voice will be much more powerful than yours and my voice. If Ethiopia invoke the UN Charter, that we are actually under deliberate attack by powers within and outside, if Ethiopia make that claim, then we will force the United Nations to really force these powers from intervening. And we will resolve the conflict in Tigray with Tigray much quicker. And the sooner we resolve this conflict, this tension, this war, the quicker we get to accountability. I want to hold accountable everybody that has been involved in one form or another. Any kind of atrocity, any kind of suffering that is done internally by anyone. I don't care who you are. And if you are an Ethiopian here listening to me, whether you love Abiy or not, you have to be willing and prepared for the sake of Ethiopia to hold anyone accountable if they've been involved in any kind of atrocity. But at the same time, I'm not going to be lectured by countries and regions and powers that were responsible for the most atrocious things that has ever been done in the history of humanity. The 500, 700 years of subjugation, exploitation of it. And that continues unabated without any accountability. I mean, the audacity of a French soldier to fire, whether they were under threat or not, to fire on an African person. That audacity, where does it come from? It's from the notion that is not spoken anymore, but it's there. They don't speak it anymore. It's there. It's there in their tone. It's there in the way they talk to us, in the way they see us. They see us 1/3 human. We cannot stand for that either. That's even a much greater evil. Some people question my effort to push for African unity. The reason I push for African unity is not to save Abiy or to save just Ethiopia. Is the reason I pushing for unity is to make sure no person can do whatever they want without being held accountable. No person whatsoever. Today, the African unity might serve and protect Ethiopia from being at the mercy of these powers. It might. But tomorrow, it will prevent any dictator in Ethiopia from forcing, from not protecting the human right of these people. That unity is a two-sword edge to it. On the one hand, it prevents us from being exploited from outside, but it also prevents us from being subjugated from the inside. And the example I can give you is go look at the European Union. The reason the European Union exists is not only to prevent them from being, overrun by powers from outside, is to tamp down the negative and ill-mannered tendencies that exist in Europe. 1958, Belgium was showing African kids in their zoos as monkeys. This is 20th century. And then 3 years later, they have the audacity to lecture us, Lumumba deserved to be dissolved and has it because he stood up. The atrocities committed, we are not asking, okay, we're not going back and asking about it. No, we're not asking. We're not asking Belgium to pay tribute for the mistakes. I'm not asking. What I'm asking you, and then you, those of you, a lot of you are Ethiopians here, you have to ask your government to escalate the issue by invoking the charters that it has the power to do. And if it invokes that charters, those countries will be forced to listen to us. They might not agree with us. In fact, they might put sanction on us. But like the same thing happened in the past, in 1935, by 1941, they have come around to supporting us. It took Ethiopia 4 years to convince European powers that the evils of Mussolini and Nazi was not just against Ethiopia, was not just against black people, was against themselves. Eventually, that's what happened. It turned, that gun was pointing at the enemies, the Soviets as the enemies at that time. They were hoping Hitler would just go after the Soviets, which was a worse enemy than Nazi. That's what the Europeans thought. Before you know it, that gun was turned, and then 3 weeks later, it took what? It took France 3 weeks to fall for Hitler in his military might. 3 weeks. And that's what I'm talking about. That is essential. Demand your government to do something. I cannot invoke the charter, but AU has a charter. If Ethiopia calls for that emergency meeting, they will be forced to have that emergency meeting. Once they are forced to join army, it will be the headlines in the world. Once this is the headlines, it will put all these powers that be who are running through their intrigue and background and CIA and intelligence, and that, they will force the politicians to act. Right now, America is running this game through their back channels, through their back people who are using a manual from 1960s. They are running they're running the resolution of the crisis they have with Ethiopia, and using manuals developed in the Cold War. That's what America is doing right now. We have to force them to say, Pelokin, don't be lazy. Step up your game, and then hold yourself accountable. Call the leader of Ethiopia, have a conversation, and bring your proposal to Ethiopia, like China has done 2 days ago. China has made a proposal to Africa. You make the proposal to Africa. That's the only way we Africans are going to deal with it. No longer. So have that call. Don't be lazy. You can't just slide your way around. This is not how it's going to work anymore. So Ethiopians there, you are already fired up. You're already in the battle at the forefront. This is one line of battle that Ethiopia, your government is not doing. He's not doing that. You should demand they do that.
Yeah.
That's the next step that I see right away. Thank you, guys. I'm going to mute myself. I have a call to make. I'm going to mute myself, but I'm going to listen to you guys. Okay? Thank you so much for giving
no
me
worries. No worries. To Niger, I wanna hear your voice on this, man. These are our brothers, and what is going there is what has happened on Saturday. It's bad. But these are a few things that we know. But there's a lot of things going, under the carpet, and we have no idea, right? Just go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I saw your video earlier on. I was watching the stream, and I felt your frustrations about all the events. I wasn't even sure exactly what the event was because I didn't hear what happened, and clearly it's one of those things that reminds us of the situation we are in. And for me, their presence there is the biggest grievance, and it's not only them. There are military bases all over the continent, and they are just moving from one country to another as if, Jesus Christ, they just travel through our countries as if it's nothing. They were in Mali. It's just, goodness, we really need to wake up to these things, and we have to start changing these things. And I am happy that you are actually putting pen, no matter what, to try to communicate our displeasure at this and the fact that we are aware of what is going on, that this needs to end. And our leaders need to understand that the young people are frustrated to be seeing their continent just ravaged by anyone. It's very rare you see, like, okay, Americans just go to Afghanistan and they just drive straight into Pakistan or India. No, you can't do that. But Africa, they just drive around anyhow they like. They can move from there to Benin Republic. It's like they own the place. We really need to start putting pressure on our leaders and the AU to do something about it, because we don't need them. We have young people without jobs. They are not doing anything. Young minds, 17, 20, 25, they are doing nothing. Graduates selling mobile phones and riding taxis when they could be defending their country, making sure their country law and order is in place, and you don't have foreign troops everywhere. And now you have people protesting and they get shot. 18 injured, because sometimes when we talk about people that get shot, we forget the 18 that got injured. It's a terrifying situation to find yourself in, that foreign forces will do that to your own people, and you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it, and this is the problem. And our leaders are going to go now. They're going to go into the back rooms and they will shake their hands and everything is okay. They'll give them a few compensation. They'll say, okay, it's all right. It's okay. Because it's all money. The money that they're going to give to you, they can reprint it. As they are giving it, they can print it again. It means nothing. What really matters is them leaving you alone. Them moving out of the country. And for them to do that, you have to have control of your territory. Otherwise, they will leave and they will infiltrate your system and cause instability. As a matter of fact, they will cause coups after coups after coups after coups. And that's what's been happening in Africa recently anyway. African leader, black countries have lost more than 10 leaders in less than a year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's like a domino. They just knock us off. They can knock us off easy because our countries, the young men are not participating. We locked most of the young people out of the system. They're not defending their country. Other countries, you see them, they are defending their countries. They are in the police. They are in the custom. They make sure their country is fine. Us, they just lock us out and they bring foreigners in. What were the French doing in the country in the first place? Why did they let them in the first place? Like, we don't have African countries. We have billions of people on the continent. This is 1.something billion people on the continent, and we are not using them. And this is the tragedy. This is the real tragedy. The solution is in our hands. We have not even done 10% what we can do to secure the continent. We're not even talking about like build defense and security for law enforcement, you know, like to repel external people, just to keep law and order within your country. Because that's the beginning, and we haven't even done the minimal. Nigeria is a very good example. Nigerian military, they didn't know how weak they were until they found themselves stretched in the country, because there was problem in the northeast, there was problem in the northwest, there's problem in the south. Suddenly they are stretched. Then you find out that you don't have security. You are porous. Anybody can come into your country. People are coming in from Niger. You know, in Nasarawa state, they found gold. People are flying aircraft into the state, supplying weapons to people. They are harvesting the gold from the ground and taking it, flying it out. I heard, you know, that video you shared about some Ethiopians, you know, talking to TPLF to try to overthrow the government, stuff like that. One of the things the TPLF official said that is very telling. He said, Ethiopia doesn't have a military; they just have militias. You know, they just have militia, and it is true. We don't. That tells you, I'm not the one that is saying it. He's the one that said it. I was like, this is what I've been telling our people. Our countries are not secure. They are not militia. That's why he called his own country's military. And this is why a small region like Tigray, not even the Tigray people, the TPLF themselves are able to repel the entire Ethiopian army. Because all they need is a few specialist weapons from outside, and this to repel them.
Which they built. They were responsible in building the army. They were 80% of the commanders, the highest senior generals in the Ethiopian army were from TPLF. I would caution in saying Tigray, because Tigray is a huge population, it's a large.
Oh no, that's why I said TPLF. I didn't mention Tigray. I said
TPLF, even though TPLF is Tigray People's Liberation, by its nature, mostly Tigrayans, but it's not the only force. That it's a central force that organizes other forces as well. But that said, the practical nature of the 80% of Ethiopia's heavy armament was in the Northern Command because of the war that we had with Eritrea about 20 years ago. And so 80% of missiles and air defense systems, all of that was located in there. And 80% of the senior commanders, the numbers is staggering. The level of control they built over the course of 27 years, I bow down to them. Hats up for them. They've done a very good job of building the security apparatus of Ethiopia. And his leadership had to systematically. You can't just all of a sudden fire 80% of your security forces, because some of them are not TPLF. There are Tigrayans who are not TPLF. You know, the defense minister right now, he's a Tigrayan. The new defense minister is a Tigrayan.
Can I say something? Yeah, I get what you are saying. I think I just made a mistake. That's why I corrected myself very quickly. I wasn't talking about the Tigrayans, because even from the meeting that they were having, you can tell these people are different. They are a crop of people. This TPLF group, they're a crop of people that are doing these things in the country. But the important thing, when you talk about the defense of Ethiopia, you see, this is the thing again. We have to understand, all sub-Saharan African countries are not even as secure as a standard European country. That is my problem. We are not even doing the normal level. We are not spending 2% on GDP. 2% out of 100. We're spending 0.5% on defense. That defense you are saying that they built up is half a percent.
Can I strengthen your point a little bit? So in the context of Ethiopia, the Ethiopian entire government budget this year is $11 billion. It's a record number. It's a record number for Ethiopia. A record of previous times. But if you put it in the context, it's laughable, right? $11 billion. How much of that is going to go to security?
Unbelievable.
That's
barely a billion. Not even a billion. Unbelievable.
$11 billion to the entire like education, healthcare, infrastructure. You call anything that's what the government can mobilize. It's not because it doesn't want to mobilize $20 billion. It can't. That's all it can. It just cannot do more than that. And then the story goes for every African country.
Yeah, I think the way you do this is that we don't need, the money. We need the people. Because the people are already in the country. The salaries the soldiers are paid are still the same kind of salaries that everybody is earning in the country. And all you need is to have the people contribute to their defense and contribute like to healthcare and everything. You let them know. You tie exactly what they are contributing to their defense. You tell them, if you do this, you don't need to be securing your houses with iron bars anymore. You don't need to be worrying about people robbing you or security for your, or even you are going to even invite business in, even more business in, so that when they, because I know Ethiopia can do it. I've seen them do it with the dam. So all you have to do, engage them so that they can pay for their own security, and they know they own this military that they are paying for, and they will you will see that people will participate more, because I believe Ethiopia is 100 and something million people.
Yes.
By right, they should be having around 400K soldiers, given the region, given the nature of the region.
Actually, because now the estimate is going up to 1 million plus right now.
Soldiers.
Point. Yep, because of the
this is why they call them militias. Because
given
the region, given the nature of the region.
Actually,
because
now the estimate is going up to 1 million plus right now.
Soldiers.
Yep, because of the
this is why they call them militias. Because given the region. There's an echo going on there. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me meet some people here.
Yeah, I think the trick is when you need to build the military beforehand. So that, and if they had it, maybe it wouldn't be in this situation. And you see, this is why I understand where the Prime Minister is coming from, because what you just said just now is the reason why he couldn't let the TPLF get away with what they did, because they were in control of some of the most formidable weapon Ethiopia has. And that's when they killed those people in those bases. They basically took over the Tigray region, the military infrastructure in the Tigray region. The Ethiopian government couldn't just sit by and say, okay, this group should just own, because they will become more powerful than the Ethiopia itself. So they had to try to get the weapons back. And this is where, for me, I've said this over and over again, it should never have gotten to that in the first place.
Absolutely.
You know, and because Egypt will just be laughing at it. Because Egypt said, they threatened Ethiopia within how many months? Within 3 months or so, Ethiopia is fighting. What are the odds? Our own people turn on us because some other person says, you know what, don't worry, I will support you with whatever you need. And now we have 1 million people on one side and fewer people on the other side. They are all fighting each other. That needs to stop. We really need to. I think Ethiopia will get past this one.
You know the devastating nature of the war in Ethiopia? You know, I see videos on. I can't share it. Some of the videos I see on Telegrams in Ethiopian channels.
After you, Ezra, I'm going to give a point to other guys here as well.
It's harrowing. So I wanted to say, like, it is like, you know, the depopulation of Tigray, it is painful. It is painful, and it is being carried out by a force just to want to be on the seat, not even to get into power. They want to be in the seat. And to me, that is like, I find it mind blowing. Anybody will be in that shape.
That's selfish, yeah.
And to me, like, you know, the Tigrayan people don't support Abiy, but you don't have to support Abiy, but don't support this escalation, continuing escalation. That, because to me, we need our brothers and sisters in Tigray, even if Tigray is independent. I don't mind if Tigray is independent. I would rather have Tigray independent and have to go through this painful stuff. That's my point of view. But because it's just unacceptable that many people will be starving, that many people will be sent to slaughters.
All right. So let me move on to my brothers here first, guys, and then we'll come back maybe later. Jonas, we have Jonas in the house. Guys, I know you remember what we are talking about today and what's going on right now. I've been trying to show you guys here on the screen. These are tweets that are happening right now, actually. You can see. Yeah, Jonas, you can go ahead. Please share and try to manage time as well so that everybody can share.
Okay. Thank you, Mika, having me here. And I listen all of you what you are discussing here, and I appreciate for that matter. Thank you for your letter. Actually, you wrote for French president, but not it is enough just writing a letter for French president. African Union must interfere on this one, and we should have to approach African Union very soon. Because, you have a plan to reach African Union to invite someone here, but it must be very soon. It must be very soon. This must be end up. Just killing of our people in our land. It must be enough. It must be enough. So we should have to have contact them, and the other option is just we should have to sign a petition. France intervention must be stopped, and all militaries of France must be leave Africa right now. We don't need them. We don't need them. So we should have to sign petition very soon, and similarly we should have to contact those people, those active people who are living in Burkina Faso and that of we should have a large demonstration. We shall raise our voice. We should shout to stop this, especially in those French colony countries. So that's my point.
Yoni, what about
that's an amazing idea, Jonas, and I think for the petition is something that is definitely doable. Doing that and also reaching out to African Union as well is doable. So I appreciate it. I think we're going to work on that.
Yoni, just a question. A question for you. What about the idea that Ethiopia has the power to call on to invoke charters within the EU? Why isn't Ethiopia doing that?
Exactly.
Professor, this situation, they are doing a lot of things. They are giving us a lot of assignments right now, doesn't it? So they are trying to cover the whole thing, their mistakes. But we can't do everything.
But the invoking of charter doesn't stop us. Nobody stops Ethiopia from invoking that charter.
Of course, nobody stops us. But for time being, they are opening a progressive war here in Ethiopia. You are familiar for that matter.
Yeah,
but we try to
escalate it. But they don't want us to do that. They don't want us to invoke the charter. If Ethiopia invokes a charter, the UN charter, they will be forced to have a general assembly. It's a requirement. It's a requirement of the charter. They will be forced to have a general assembly, and the Ethiopian prime minister or whoever goes into that stage and outline in detail what's going on. And then there are 193 countries in the UN, and then they have.
Are you talking about the UN? Seriously, what is the UN going to do for you? It's African Union you need.
Voice. Just because right now they want to hide it, they want to do it behind the scene. Now we are exposing you by invoking that charter. That's a tool at the disposal of the Ethiopian diplomatic tool. Ethiopia has that diplomatic tool.
The reason why I'm extremely skeptical about the UN is that we know the story of Israel. And even if it's happening to your face, that's like on TV, they are busy blowing up homes and killing children. UN cannot move if the US doesn't agree with it.
No, the reason I say we do it is not because to hoping the UN will do it, is to create the noise, because right now the enemies don't want you to talk about this. They would rather have this done by their agents, not by the politicians. So
personally, sorry,
you're putting them on the defensive a little bit.
Personally, I would rather I don't care too much about what they think. I would rather we actually focus on our own action that we can use to heal our continent. And African Union is sitting there not really doing anything. And if Ethiopia says, okay, enough is enough, African Union, you have to call an emergency meeting, and we need to start trashing out this stuff right now, yes, so that we can sort ourselves out within the continent. And again, listen, Ethiopia calls on Kenya, calls on its neighbors to say, okay, just like Mozambique did. Mozambique did that with Rwanda, and now that issue has been, they pushed those militants back. This is the kind of stuff you can do to bring your neighbors in and quell it once and for all. And when you start seeing this type of thing work, you find that most of all these instabilities will happen less and less, because they will know that when you do this, that the majority will not let you, because this is not the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
All right. Jonas, all right, you can go ahead, but also Kuru, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have with you waiting for a little bit for a while. After you, Effie will go forward.
Okay, actually, I only have a minute, so let's take an action here. Let's take assignment to contact the Prime Minister office, just to envoy our voice in Security Council. Actually, on yesterday's discussion, I was here, but I didn't get a chance. In our Security Council, we should have to have our voice, okay? We should have to have veto power there. If not, we should have to concentrate here, as my brother said. We should have to concentrate on African Union. So for that matter of reason, let's contact those people in the Prime Minister office, because there is their social media access. So let us brief them what is going on there, and we can pressure.
Yes.
I like the idea.
If I can go ahead, I can talk about you know, what's going on right now, and any thoughts you have, and then I'll go to you, Professor Kuru. I'm sorry if okay, you're good now.
Yeah. Hey everybody. Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me tonight. Sorry that I missed the discussion yesterday, but today's topic is one that is very close to my heart, because I've been following it the whole day. And when I saw your video, Mika, I was trying to hold my tears back, you know, because it's hurting. It hurts a lot to see our own brothers and sisters getting killed, murdered by people from outside. I'm not here to be a hater, but at the same time, I am not supposed to love someone that is killing my family, my own roots, and my own culture. And I read your letter as well, the open letter. It states a good example on our side, the youngsters and that are trying to fight for one Africa, and it's a good start. But when it comes to what we can do right now, I appreciate the fact that we can do something on the Ethiopian side, but at the same time, I don't think it should be the sole responsibility of Ethiopia. And just like my brother mentioned earlier, we have a lot going on the table already. And, you know, these people, not only in Ethiopia, throughout the whole of continent, they have succeeded like more than 100%. And that is through giving us distractions. And the distractions have been running in our bloods and running throughout the continent ages. And those distractions are actually what are keeping us occupied, losing time, losing power, losing resources and everything. And it starts with a screwed identity. And Mika, you were showing the pictures that were reality some time ago. And you said you don't want to bring up the pain, but it actually is very necessary that we face those times so that we can move on. And this is what I meant by, you know, yeah, exactly. This is what I meant by, you know, trauma. As long as we are not facing this fear, these pictures, you know, our ancestors, what they went through, people that drowned in the seas, thrown to the sharks and everything, we will never move past this period. And that's my, like 100%, I am sure of it. We need to face this time. We need to understand the pain we went through. And we need to start from that point on. We need to assert that we are actually the cradle of human beings. and then we start the fight. It is because we don't know who we are. We don't know what we are, that we are fighting the fights we're fighting tonight, today. And it's not only about Ethiopia. And that line has been crossed 1,000 times. And today also crossed. And my brother, he mentioned as well, you know, it's not only the two brothers that were killed, it is plenty that are wounded. Who knows if they're going to leave? Who knows how many people are hurt? And I saw a message from Kenya as well, that a woman was shot and killed by someone from Britain, from the forces. And this is something going on all over Africa, but nobody is talking about it. And it shouldn't be only the responsible of only Ethiopia. Every country needs to talk about it. Everybody. And, you know, this red line, it has been crossed like 1,000 times in Africa, like I said. And it is bold enough for anybody in Africa to notice it. And I don't understand why people are sitting and waiting. For what? For who? I just don't get that point. And my brother talked about military as well. Of course, we need to strengthen our military. But as long as we have this import-export thing, as much as I am for the global world, I am against it as well. Okay, it's nice to integrate cultures and, you know, like everything else, but at the same time, we are not sustainable in Africa within ourselves, but yet we export. To get what? For the dollar? For the euros? For what? You know? I have met people who don't even know what raw coffee bean looks like. They don't even understand what real food is. Yet we export those products and we get the value-added products and, you know, thousands of dollars. We pay to get our own products back into our continent. This needs to stop. Then we can build our own economy. Is it oil? We got it. Is it beauty? We got it. Is it resources? We've got it. Is it wisdom? We've got it. But we just don't know it. So my point being, we need to understand who we are first. And then we can get over the distractions that are actually imposed on us over the time of the centuries. And we can think clearly. Now everything is foggy. You know, we are trapped in between two worlds. And tonight, I'm not demanding justice just only for the two brothers. We should be asking justice for the people that have been killed and thrown under the bus and get rid of under the table. Not only in Africa, but the Afro-Americans in the US that were robbed of their identity, being killed around every corner and thrown just like rats. Those people also are our brothers. This is the extent and the pain that we've been through. And we need to face it. We need to face the pictures that Mika showed us. And this is just the beginning. There are lots and lots and lots out there. You wouldn't even believe if a human is actually capable of doing such atrocities. Whatever we're facing right now is a consequence of those deeds. Once you twist the human mind, it is very difficult to think straight. Just as easy as it comes to my mind, I can talk about beauty. As a woman, you know, everybody is so focused on the beauty of women, and Black women are meant or are forced to think as if they are nothing when compared to other people. This is one of the distractions. Who cares about the curly pattern of your hair? Who cares about the shade of your color? Who gave us that identity crisis? I've been seeing so many advertisements like for a bleaching cream. Who is advertising it? Woman. Why would you want to go a shade lighter from what you are, from what God made you from the start? And these are the distractions. We need to see that Black is beautiful. And this is just an example that just popped up into my mind. But there are lots, hidden ones, done day in, day out, and we don't even notice it because it's done subtly. We don't even see it happening knocking on our doors every day. I'm just mad. I am mad tonight. We have everything. We have everything, every single thing. We think we don't. And we're trapped. We are trapped. We have everything, and we need to understand that the saying, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek, you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. And for everyone that asks, receives, and that seeks, finds. And to him that knocks, it shall be opened. We need to start knocking on our leaders' doors. It doesn't have to be to the prime minister. It can be to the district leaders, neighborhood watches. It doesn't matter who it is. We need to start small. We need to grow. We need to ask. We need to start it. That's all I can say right now. I am mad. I don't even have words, I don't even have words tonight. Thank you. I'll leave the spot for somebody else.
Appreciate it, Effie. Professor Kuru.
Hey guys. What up? How are you guys?
We're good.
Yeah.
This mad.
Under the circumstances.
Yeah. I get it. It's really sad. I'm not gonna say that much, but it's really sad what's really going on. I think the problem with these things is, for example, the case that we're witnessing today, or is it today? Is the things happen today?
Yeah.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Today,
Yeah.
Still continue.
Yeah. I just want to point out one.
Just assume that has been happening throughout the week. We just happen to take a glimpse of one moment.
Yeah. The one major problem that I'm seeing from this is it doesn't have like a very broad media coverage, right? Because I think I just saw it today. For me, Mika, I think I just want to give you some pointers. The one thing that can be done is, to create a connection with the media journalists that are out there. Like, is it Niger? Is it Niger?
Yes.
Niger?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. If we, I think it's time for example, for you to get a connection with them, right? And make this do some coverage on this, right? Because there's no people are really not getting the information. So I think that's the first thing that we can do. Get a connection. We should try to connect with the journalists in Kenya and from that area and stuff like that. And then that we should, like, for example, when the CNN and BBC, stuff like that, when they release news, almost like all of their news are similarly the same, because they have this network and they can, channel their the whatever the agenda they want to transmit with this network, right? So I think this is time for you, just not for only for you, but all, like, this is a time to make connections and to establish the network. So that's just my first point. And also the second point is when you come to Ethiopia, right? So I'm sure you will have a chance to speak at the African Union. So you should prepare like a very, very thorough and detailed like perspective, like of the youth. Like why, like you should really like challenge African Union, not only just say this African Union is for African Union. No, not that.
I'm not that person, man. Trust me.
Okay, nice. So I think this is the time we challenge. Okay, because we should learn from the past. Like these things keep happening like for the last 200 or 300 years. And what happened? You know, Pan-Africa is not this is not a current phenomenon, is it? It's not. This thing, I mean, Pan-African has been here for a long time. But why did it not succeeded? We should ask ourselves, right? Why? So that's something that we need to challenge, and we need to like head on, like we need to face. And then we need to ask questions, like we need to ask African Union, we need to ask like, so this is the time for us to demand, right? So that's just the 2 points that I really want to make. But at the same time, like we need to also, you know, like not focus more on the problem, but also on the solutions also. Okay, so we should also have different discussions on different sectors or different the different areas, or what can be done, you know, like what can be done. And when different people, like, you know, I'm sure like different people are really joining this conversation, and I'm sure like different people have different expertise, because yesterday I just listened to a guy, he has an engineering background, stuff like that, right? So having this different peoples and talk about the same area, for example, engineers can talk about the same thing, and doctors can talk about the same thing, you know, educators can talk about the same thing. If you have this kind of discussions, something will come out of it, right? We will create a connection between these people, and then come up with an idea, right? Come up with a network, come up with projects, stuff like that we can do, you know. So these are the thing that we need to think also about this forum, because not only talk, okay, we can vent, you know, we can talk about this thing. Everybody is angry here at of what's really going on out there, right? So, but you know, like you can talk all day, but like without no action, then our talk is nothing. You get the point? So, like for example, when you take Martin Luther King, right? He like they were okay at first when he was preaching about the, you know, peace. We don't need any violence and stuff like that, right? But what happened? Martin Luther King started taking actions. He started to change the legislation, right? And that that really scared them. That's the point in time where they took his life. You see, Mika. And then please know this, Mika. I pray for God to give you the strength. You know why? You know why? The thing that what you're doing right now, it's not easy, and it's really hard, and it's very complicated. You know, you're just only one person. You cannot do this alone. I'm telling you this, right? So because this thing, you know, it will take a lot of effort, a lot of people, yeah. So keep that in mind. And yeah, I just want to say we're here with, I mean, we have to support in every way we can at this point. So those are the things I really want to say. I really don't want to take time from other people, and yeah. So I'm just gonna. All right.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, Kuro. Thank you.
Right,
Jambo, Liya, welcome to the show, brother. Where are you calling from, Jambo? Jambo, can you unmute yourself? Yes. Welcome, brother. Hello? Jambo, can you hear me? All right. We're going to move on from Jambo. Mwenda Tezi. Brother, welcome back. Can you unmute yourself? Yes.
Hey, guys.
Yes, brother.
How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm personally, I'm not good.
Good, Mwenda.
Okay, from what I've heard, and from what here's what I have to say about this thing with the AU. The AU has never been useful. It has always been useless. It's not the first time, it's not the last time. People will tend to forget that when South Africa was going through apartheid, the AU was there by the, it was, and so these things, AU has never been something of useful to any African. But you have to ask yourself, why is the AU useless? It's not because they have to. In fact, I think, is it 40% of the AU budget is funded by Europe or something? Or
yes.
the world?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You
Somewhere
see,
around that.
like,
yeah,
you see, things like that, it can tell you that this thing is not going to really help anybody. It's not really independent. It's never been independent. It's just, I don't know even why it's existing, because even if it goes away today, nothing will change in Africa. Nothing will be better, nothing will be worse. It's really a very insignificant. The problem is, why is it insignificant? It's because there is no strong African country. You see, even if you look at the EU, you might think the EU works, but the EU those laws are really enforced by some countries like Germany, like formerly the UK. They really used to, France, they used to really enforce these big powers. They really used to enforce the EU in Europe. So there is no really a big force in Africa trying to enforce AU, or like when my friend here to Niger said, when there is a problem, there is no big country coming to Ethiopia and say, hey, we're going to give you the troops, we're going to speak against the international media. There isn't really, and you have to ask yourself why. And my point is, it's because there is no secure African country. There is no leader in Africa. Very few. Maybe I can mention Pual Kagame. Maybe that he's the one. Maybe say, I don't know if there's another secure leader that can say, I'm very secure. I can even take on the Europeans or the Americans. I don't think there is, and that's because their countries, they're not good leaders. Like I said it yesterday, and I'll probably say it today, that even when you look at Ethiopia right now, okay, let's look at the history of Ethiopia. What made Haile Selassie get overthrown? There was no payment of it. It's because of hunger. It's from what I have read, and from what maybe the people can tell me something else, but that's what I read, that it's because of hunger.
I would say one of the factors, but you are onto something, but not all of it. But onto something. Yeah.
Right now in Ethiopia,
can I challenge you? You know that when we think about things, that things are much more complicated, right? So
yeah, okay, I understand. I understand.
I just want you to keep that in mind, but you're not wrong. Yeah. That's what I want to say.
Yeah. But right now in Ethiopia, there is no shortage of bullets. There is no shortage of guns from both sides of the war. There is no shortage. But there is a shortage of food. So these are very important things that we need, and that is something that I think I read about in this book, that us as Africans, we are traumatized. And as traumatized people, whenever we see problems, we think, okay, we need to defend ourselves. The problem is we need to defend ourselves. The problem is not that the problem is not that we need to defend ourselves. The problem is more internal. The problem is that we can't feed ourselves. That if people are well fed, if a country is secure, for me, a secure country is not a country with a big military. Because trust me, there are countries all over in that they don't have militaries. Countries like Singapore, they don't have big militaries. They don't even have any, but they are still thriving. It's not because of guns. It's because your people are secure. People are fed. People have access to food. People have access to healthcare. People have a stake in the economy. Why will they even riot? Because if they riot, it's bad for business. If somebody has a stake in his economy, somebody has a business in this country, he will never want to see it fall down. He will never take a gun and go to. He will hey, no. This is my livelihood. But because people do not have these basic things, these basic needs that a human being has, needs for dignity. Let me finish.
Is it okay to challenge you a little bit?
Yeah, I think I need to push back a bit because you said quite a few controversial things that, like the Singapore one. Singapore has 72,000 standing military, while their population is 5-point-something million. If you extrapolate that to the Nigerian military, it should be up almost 3 million. So when you say things
Singapore
like
is not a world power. It's not a world power by any
but they
standard.
have 72,000 soldiers. Ethiopia has 100 and something. For 5 million people, they have 72,000. So you have to be careful when you use words. Because when you are telling our people something, you are not taking into account the size of the country itself.
But there's a lot
5 million, 72,000, 100
Let me tell you
million,
something.
170,000.
Niger, I want to add a little bit to the other dimension about food. Some of the things in the 70s and the 80s, and I'm sure it's still been done, is that the European Union was subsidizing huge amount of their farmers. These are unproductive farmings that they were subsidizing and crashing the African food market. What do you say to that about? So it's not that I don't disagree with you that internal matters are important. We need to recognize the solution is within, and we need to step up on our floor. Those are things that I agree with you. But when you make that to me, when you come to me and tell me that's all there is to know, then I become suspicious.
Yeah, that's Singapore is
in your
secure.
understanding, and the way you communicate to me, you have to understand we know the nuances and the substantive nature of what you're talking about. So I agree with you partially, but for me to argue fully with you, you have to come to the term that there's a lot of this nuance, like he was mentioning about the Singapore army in relation to the population. And all of these things, they matter in the way we address. We cannot be that simplistic because this is not a propaganda platform. This is like intelligent people who are well-read, who have studied a lot. So you are intelligent. I know you are very well-read. You have a point of view. But in order to convince me, you have to really get to the bottom of things, get to the scrape of the things, and then
Evidence.
the robustness of your point, then I get you. That's when I get you. Thank you.
It has to be based on evidence. If we want to share information, you have to speak based on evidence, because if we keep passing false information and misleading information, we are not doing our people any service. Because he just said a moment ago, I'm sorry to say, because I don't like to call people out on this, to say that it don't require military to be secure, and gave an example that clearly shows military is the reason why they are secure. How can
I haven't said that military. Okay, let me you didn't even let me finish my point.
Okay.
Let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
I didn't say that military is not necessary to be said to secure a country. But my point is that if you rely on military for power, if you rely on military for your country so that your country can be stable, then you're a tyrant. That is the truth.
Better than to end up with tyrant. See, let me tell you right now, I will better end up with a tyrant. I would rather end up with a tyrant than go extinct. I would rather end up with a tyrant than have people occupy my land.
Do you know Singapore?
Power is power.
Do you know the Singapore you mentioned? You can't even throw a chewing gum. Chewing gum can get you in jail. Chewing your gum, not throwing. Chewing your gum can get the restrictions on liberties, freedom of speech, protests, all of those things that you take for granted. I mean, sometimes we accuse that you go to Singapore, and people who have traveled to Singapore, who have experienced the inside of living at Singapore, that dream that you see from outside, it is different. But I'm not questioning Singapore for that. I'm not going to question Singapore. They have the right to frame the shit. But sometimes when we look at things on the surface, it's like they say, it's like an iceberg. There's more underneath the water than you see on the top. There's more underneath. So we need to be stay away from really sometimes comparing apples and oranges. Sometimes you can't even compare two apples. That's how different that is sometimes. Because so I really want the debate to be robust. And so when you tell them about food security is important, we know food security is not a function and a factor of what each and every African individual country does. It's also a factor of the way the world economy is organized and designed. We know that. You can't deny that. So how do you answer that? How do you reconcile those two things?
It's very clear that you like to throw chewing gum on the ground because you really don't like that in Singapore. So let everybody know that for now. This guy is the delinquent chewing gum thrower on the ground. So
I didn't want to laugh today.
My point. Okay. Let's go back to the point. My point is, although I doubt it that littering. I think anywhere in the world, littering is a fine. You probably will get fined anywhere in any functioning country. So I don't know if that's a big deal. But my problem is,
gum. I'm not saying throwing gums. Chewing a gum. That's not throwing a gum. You cannot chew a gum in Singapore. But I'm not saying they should not do that. Singapore has a right to do that, but don't come and tell me Singapore is this, heaven on earth. No, they are not. People who live in Singapore will tell you there are a lot of rights that they wish they have, they don't have.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nuances.
But let me ask you.
What I'm trying to say. There's a lot of nuances that are missed when we just.
But okay, let me ask you this. If Singapore was taking people, will they from Africa and say, hey, Africans, you're allowed to come here, and Singapore, people from Singapore, you're allowed to go to Africa. Who will migrate?
Of course, people will go to Singapore because they have more money. It's not because they have more money. That's all.
It's not because of money. Let's put it on another. It's not because of money. It's not even because of security. It's because they see opportunity. They see freedoms that they're not getting in Africa. They see some security of food. Let me tell you something.
But the security of food, I'm challenging you. You talk about security of food. I'm challenging you. Answer that part.
Okay, let me finish my point. My point is, my point is that military, they're not. If it is about military, there are bigger militaries like Russia, but nobody is going to go to Russia. Let me tell you, right? If Russia and maybe Singapore or any other small country that has a small, minute, developed and developed country, maybe let's put it New Zealand, with very small, people will still go to New Zealand and not go to Russia, although they have one of the biggest militaries in the world.
I want you to talk about
my point is that military is not important.
No, forget about the military. Talk about the food thing that you mentioned, and then I asked.
Okay, let me talk about the food because let me talk about the food.
Yeah,
let me talk about the food. What my point is that when somebody is living in a country, they judge their quality of life by if they can get food, just the basic needs. These are very important things that you look at somebody and if he feels that I'm getting my food well, I have an economic stake in the country, I have healthcare which is at least basic and it's good. These are people who are less likely to go to war or civil war. These are less likely to go to any riot.
Anybody will agree with that. But what is the problem with not doing that?
Sir, the problem is, my problem is, and this is what I was going to say, that in Africa, we are not even offering that.
So when we start to talk, or is it because they can't?
It's not getting offered. Whether we don't want to, whether we can't, it's not there. It's not on the table. So my point is that why is it not on the table? Before we start talking about the West, before we start talking about the military,
the West has an influence on the food security on the ground. So are you going to ignore that? And billions,
let me tell you something. There are food secure countries in Africa or not? Let me ask you.
African countries are prevented from growing their agriculture by policies that have been designed in Brussels. A European will admit this to you. They will tell you it's
right now. Okay, let me ask you.
Let's talk about this. You raise your point. Let's talk about how to step up from that. What is your opinion about that?
My opinion is this: that if you look at African agriculture right now, like if you go to Ethiopia, you probably find fields, acres, thousands of acres full of coffee, full of in fact, somebody just said it before me. All this is meant for export. But where is the food for the people who are dying in those areas where people are starving? Where's the food for that? You're going to rely on aid.
Ethiopia produces 90% of the food it needs. 90%.
Then why is it not going to the right places?
No, 90% of the population is fed through the things that we produce at home. Only 10% of the population, in the most extreme part, 12-15%. But those are droughts, climate change that are affecting farming patterns. In the south, in Borana, they have been affected by the climate change patterns. In Afar, they have been affected by climate change patterns. And that's why the government is implementing these dam buildings, construction of 100 dams.
A drought new in Ethiopia.
Resolve those things. But who's standing in the construction of the dams? Who's saying no, Ethiopia cannot build dams? Who said? Why is Ethiopia being under attack? How do you ignore that?
It's clear that Ethiopia has been doing a lot of things right. If they have 90% of the population being fed by things that they grow in the continent, in the country, that is a very good thing. And Ethiopia is already beginning to industrialize, and they are building a massive dam that would have even this thing catalyzed it even further. And now look at what they have inflicted on them. And let me address this point, because I'm not going to let it lie. I can't believe any human being today, any grown human being, man, on a continent that has lions in it, that understand how the wild works, would think not having any element of security is a good idea. Without security, nothing works. I
didn't say no element of security.
See, you say it's not important. It's not even the most important. Yes, it is the most important. Without it, nothing else works. Because anything you do, I keep saying it, I don't know whether you're here before, do the experiment, leave your door and your windows open every day you go to work. Let's count how you do over a year. You go, you come back, you buy your TV, you go, you come back, you buy your gas cooker. Let's see how you do. And you expect a nation to be without it. And not to mention the fact that all the nations we all love to love, all have better security. How can you not see that?
Did they start with security?
Yes,
did they start with security?
Yes, they all
no,
did.
They didn't.
China got to where it got to after they got their nuclear weapons.
Now let's go. Let me add the point there, Niger. Let me add the point. I think the question is, Africa, we are at the place where we need that. Like Mwenda Tezi, whether we agree or not, but we need that because we need to defend ourselves. And if we need to defend ourselves, we have to understand that these people are ready to go on a war with us anytime. I just share right now. I just shared the video on YouTube right now of those. I was sharing here the truth, like what they were doing in Niger just a couple of days ago. This is what happens. Like a plane from French troop do that to the protesters, and they kill 2 people. If we cannot have a strong military, how are we going to protect ourselves from that? Because they're not just going to agree with us that, okay, yes, we are going to leave your country and leave you guys alone.
Do you know what
they're not going to do that? So where we are right now, we are too vulnerable, and we don't have strength because we are lacking military strength, right? So people, they can simply take advantage of us.
Security situation is the thing that's causing the protest in Niger. Like there's a growing Islamist attack on their fellow Muslims in Burkina Faso and Niger. They say in the past 6 years, I don't know if it's verified number, 6,000 Burkinabes have died as a result of this insecurity that has grown up. So security is an issue. It's not something you ignore. As the protest comes from that.
Yeah. It's number one. You have to put it number one because it's so fundamental to any survival of any species. Even goats know how to have horns to deter anybody from messing with it. Lions know how to have claws. Every species is fighting for survival. This world, if you decide that security is not important to you, you are not going to exist. It's very simple. It's not human beings that are determining. This is Mother Nature telling you what it is. It's not. You can't blame the West for being strong. They are strong. They killed each other. If you want, Russia suffered 28 million losses in the Second World War to get them to where they go to today. China, millions perished where they were fighting to. They did it in such a terrible way. Africans can do it in a way better way right now. We have technology. We have so many things going in our direction. So we can't play down and act as if security is not paramount. It's very, very important. Without it, everything you do, you might as well just
Let me
give
ask you a
up.
question.
No, Mwenda Winzi, I'm gonna jump away.
Let me ask
from
you a question.
You can come back later. I'm sorry. For now, you can come back later. It's fine, Mwenda Winzi. I know you have a point to make, but let's listen to others first. Jambo, Kaya, you wanna jump in? Hello? Okay, Jambo Kaya is still having issues. Who next after that?
Nathaniel?
It was Geta. Geta, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I muted you by mistake. All right, go ahead, Geta. And then we go to Nati, and then Sin, Elka, and
Jambo is back, I think.
Jambo? No. Geta, you can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hello. Okay, hello friends. How are you?
Yeah.
I was watching the video you posted, and I feel sorry. And I would like to, I don't know what to say, but we Africans have been killed by the foreigners every day. And if you remember when Italian tries to invade Ethiopia for a second time, especially they have reached Addis and they conquered for 5 years, but there were a fight every day, every year. So I don't know their name, but I think their name was Gramamoyanwai and Mangistunwai. They tried a copt on the fascist Italy. For that reason, they killed 30,000 innocent citizens in Addis in a day. They don't care about us, man. So I think we have to step up. We have to have a structural organization as one African Forum. How can we challenge African Union with this union? I mean, we don't have anything or we don't have any circumstance to challenge them. At least we have to organize as Ethiopian, as Tanzanian, as Gambian, and in other country, we have to make the organization in our country. So we can do a peaceful protest against African Union to take a measurement on US or France, especially France. She's exploiting West African. So I think you were talking about military, how to strengthen them, but I think our leaders are not literate that much to make that happen. As an engineer, I make a proposal and I sent to the Prime Minister office through email, but they didn't reply anything. As a mechanical engineer, I can do anything. We have chief software and electrical engineers around the world. An African chief software and electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. We are educated. We have resources. Why don't we start to manufacture our weapon here? There is no problem that we can make that happen. As an engineer, I think that, but there is a good platform to talk about that. So for today, I want to raise one thing. For Ethiopian, I want a challenge for Ethiopian members here. Try to promote this channel for your friends. For if you know a celebrity, try to reach him and challenge him to promote this channel or One African Forum. to fight for African, to promote a Pan-African movement, unless we cannot do anything, because I think we are, when we consider African people, we have more than billion people, 1.2 billion, around 1.2 billion. But right here, 179,000 people subscribe to this channel. That's not their fault. It's our bad. We didn't promote this channel. We didn't promote this movement. We are here talking about the US, UN, AU. How can they hear us without pulling the people to this channel? Or I don't know another channel who is fighting for Africans. If there is, let me know, and I will join that. So we can make a movement. I think you get my point.
Yes.
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 Yes. Definitely.
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Wait, not to come in now, but I really appreciate Geta for what you've said. Thank you so much. And before Nati comes in, I want to just remind guys that after everybody shares in this channel, I'm gonna kindly asking you guys to step out a little bit, and then I will share the link again for other people to come to join in and to share their opinion, because there's a lot of people wanting to join in, but I'm not sharing the link right now because I want everybody in this panel to finish what they're saying. And then I'll share the link for other people to come in. Just if they're not gonna come, then you guys you can feel free to come back again. Yeah, please, Nat, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Good evening. Since this platform is informing one another about some of the information that might be more clear to the people who belong to a certain location than others, I would like to just, at this juncture, drop a point to my brother Oga to Niger. Oga, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you.
How do they do now?
with the manage.
Thank God. So your point is valid, and I will come to that strongly on my third intervention about arm. When you talk about the militia, one of the things that you might have missed is that the militia is not used in its rawest sense in the Ethiopian context. So there is the main defense forces, but the people that we refer as militia are armed civilians who make sure that the security of their surrounding is kept, and they help the government in making sure that peace is kept in their surrounding, and they are acknowledged with the arm that they have. So they are simply farmers or civilians who are living their own life, and the government is aware they are armed, and they support as a security in their surrounding. And when the government refers as militia, keep in mind that these are civilians who at any time can join the defense forces in making sure security is kept in the surrounding. And it comes all the way from the Haile Selassie's time, where civilians came in good number to fight against the Italians. So arm is somehow in good supply among the civilians. So the government is somehow, instead of disarming them, acknowledged them that they are armed and they support in keeping security. I hope this is clear enough. So don't take it in its rawest form to compromise the mainstream defense forces. So the defense forces has Air Force, foot soldiers, special commandos, and battalions, and Navy. So that is the mainstream defense forces. I hope this sheds light. Going to my point for tonight, following our discussion, I want to suggest for us, since you guys gave me this name called Minister of what was that? Education. Whatever. I wanted to
Minister of Education.
Yeah, I wanted to suggest for us one main author, and I hope, Mika, you have it ready now. His name is Amilcar Cabral. I don't know if I should type it for you, can I? Or Amilcar Cabral. I have already done. So his full name is Amilcar da Costa Cabral. He's from Guinea-Bissau. He's a Pan-Africanist, and he is a Pan-Africanist and writer. Remember that these people wrote. Sometimes when we say that we are going to write, yes, thank you. That's the picture there.
Wait, what's
these
the date?
people used to write. He's from Guinea-Bissau. He's a Pan-Africanist. His name is Amilcar da Costa Cabral. This Pan-Africanist talks about three major issues. If I could summarize it for you guys, so that it summarizes what we've been discussing so far. He has so many works. If you want to read, Return to the Source is a good book, Unity and Struggle. And now today I want to summarize some of his speeches and some points from Unity and Struggle, where he says that we need to have a struggle as Pan-Africanists, one, politically, two, economically, and three, he says, if we must go all the way, armed struggle is necessary. So it somehow reconciles our idea that we've been running for 20-something days. And before I start this platform of what is he saying and what are the critical junctures that we need to discuss about, I want to appreciate the anger that is in this panel. And actually, just a while ago today on BBC News, I was following Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and she was interviewed, and she said that anger is very important in as long as it is propelling us to do something positive, to bring in something which is very, very important. So in as long as anger propels us to do something constructive, let's hold on to it. So I love the anger that is going on, but still my duty here in this panel is to remind us that we need to be informed politically, economically, and suggest not as a reactionary, but as intellectuals to inform our brothers and sisters on how to go about Pan-African movement from now on. Now, I want to pick some of the political loopholes that we have here in Africa that is affecting and spilling over into the economic and armed struggle in Africa. The first one is that the political life of our country, everyone is minding his own business. And sometimes our figures and leaders, we have discussed this in depth when we talked about leadership, our leaders somehow suppress for political correctness and create economic imbalance within our country. For example, concrete example, we all talked about it, Mwenda talked about it, and it needs a courageous man to talk about this, even as Ethiopians. I'm an Ethiopian, that we have made it to the dictionary when it comes to drought. The example that is being given is Ethiopia in a dictionary. So drought, it explains that starvation, whatnot, example 1977, whatnot, Ethiopia. How did we make it to this dictionary? It's not by far White's mistake. One thing we need to talk about is the government, for the sake of being politically correct, suppressed the drought and actually created barricades to hold people from flooding into townships and trying to suppress the international community from finding out that there is a drought in Ethiopia. But instead of focusing on suppressing this in order to be politically correct, I am very sorry to mention this, but in the southern part of Ethiopia, a sack of maize was going for 15 to 20 birr. And it is very painful that I am mentioning it right now. 15, 20 birr by then would have been $3. $4 maximum. So in order to be politically correct and not to tarnish the country's image and accepting, and I've been saying this, my sister was talking about color. I have talked about accepting ourselves the way we are. Instead of accepting how we are, the government tried to suppress it. And instead of channeling this energy into logistics and redistribution of food, the government suppressed the people and the information, and many people died. And guess what happened? The following day, we woke up to find our names in the dictionaries in the Western world. So when we learn English now as Africans, drought, for example, the starvation in Ethiopia. Thank you very much. The second point that I want to talk about is economically, we are all, yesterday we have talked about aid and loan and whatnot. We have all the resources that we have, but we do not have a collective effort to put our pockets together. This has spilled over into a very, very low, if not non-existent, army in our countries. The army needs money, yes, but I want to give you some examples as to how we have really failed, especially right now, in keeping peace here in Africa. If we put all our armies together, our armies are more than enough for the population of Africa. But we are focusing on South Africa on its own, Ethiopia on its own, Egypt on its own, Niger on its own, and Congo on its own. And the economic burden is affecting the movement of the army and peacekeeping. For example, the Congolese took 5 good days to arrive at Bukavu in eastern Congo to protect their own civilians from dying by attacked by the rebels. 4 days, because there was no infrastructure. Sometimes helicopters don't have fuel, helicopters are not enough. So we are poor, so how do we even build a military? But collectively, we have the military that Africa needs collectively. But Congo struggles to bring peace to its own land because it's so vast. The Lord Resistance armies in Uganda used to flee into Congo and take shelter in the forests of Congo because they know that the armies cannot make it to the northern part of Congo. So in order to have an army which can protect us, economy is very, very crucial. If our economy is not supporting individual countries, our collective effort can cover us. For example, Ethiopia has been fighting the American war in Somalia. By the way, Americans failed in Somalia. It is the Ethiopian forces who are dying and the Kenyan forces who are dying in Somalia. Mwenda is here. He can attest to this. The Kenyans and Ethiopians are fighting the American war in Somalia. I wish it had come from a genuine, self-driven peace and love for the people of Somalia that Ethiopia and Kenya move. Instead, it backfired. Kenya is suffering from terrorist attacks every now and then in its shopping malls because the Somalis and the Al-Shabaab felt that they are fighting the American war. What if the Kenyans and the Ethiopians in goodwill moved to Somalia to help their brothers and sisters? The attitude of resistance would have changed. The attitude of peacekeeping would have changed. Instead of retaliation, unity would have been achieved. Look at Ethiopia in 1994 going to Rwanda. Some of my classmates from Rwanda used to sing for me in the classroom the song of Teddy Afro, Lambadina, for example. And I was shocked and I said, where did you get it? They said, the Ethiopian forces used to play this song for us when we were kids. They used to give us candies. And I was really proud at some point that, yes, there's something positive from the people of Rwanda. The Rwandans are giving back in Cabo Delgado, in the northern part of Mozambique, as we talk right now, because the army troops have moved. This is the kind of support we want to see, supporting one another. So they are in Mozambique at Cabo Delgado, trying to bring peacekeeping and protect civilians. African armies moving from one part to the other to keep our own peace. Gentlemen, this is what we want to see. This is what gives me hope. Now, we need to be angered by the French coming and meddling around. It is sickening. It is disturbing. Because where are the neighboring countries? Where are the military of that country? How do you give an inch of your land for a foreigner to come, live alone with a gun and shoot your own people? And this is where we need to be sickening. And this leads me to the third point where Amilcar Cabral talked about armed struggle. I'm very sorry, so far I was saying education. I was saying we need to educate ourselves. We need to come out of our own ignorance and inform ourselves, read, education, teach. And this leads me to the third point where... But now, armed struggle is one of the reasons how we say no to oppression. Gentlemen, we cannot escape it. And I have always said that a generation of Africans should die in their profession. Writers write, teachers teach, engineers build, army men fight for the good of each and every African who is not having access to water because of war, access to food, access to school. This is a common cause for Africans. So armed struggle is one of the ways in which we rebel against oppression and come out of this oppression. So let's not allow any foreigner to be gallivanting around our neighborhoods and shooting and telling us what to do. In order to do that, we need two things. The first one, to Niger, this is in support of your point. There is an African proverb, and I love my identity as an African, and I want to give a proverb. That's where our philosophy is. They said that you only know how to negotiate with a mosquito only when you find a mosquito landing on your testicles. Who can slap his own testicle to kill a mosquito? No one.
Oh my goodness.
Tell me you will slap a mosquito when it lands on your testicle. You know how to negotiate with a mosquito when it lands on your testicle because you know the consequence. What I'm trying to say is,
oh God.
If you don't have strong army, not individually, but jointly, where we have a common army, where we respond to our own needs, that is when the Western world would negotiate with us. Am I clear enough, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
This is when negotiation comes in. Instead of becoming a battleground for the East and the West, becoming the battlefield for the East and the West, if we develop our own common force, then the Western world will know how to negotiate with us. And with all due respect, we have all the demographic distribution of our own land favoring us. So this is the first point, army and protecting one another. The second point is when we talk about human rights, when we talk about fighting for our own right, when we form a government that will lead us, guys, let's do one thing. Let's be led. Let whoever is leading lead, the rest of us, let us be led. One of the trickiest point here in Africa is that some people, in the name of human rights and in the name of new philosophies of humanity that comes from the West, fight their own government this is against humanity. This is against what? Isn't it against humanity where some of our people are dying from lack of food and water?
Exactly.
So this is some of the things we don't need to echo because it is a human right. One of the examples that I can give you, very funny, very funny. We have our own different cultures. We have our own cultures. If you go among the Kikuyus believe in women's circumcision, for example. How do we change that? By giving the pros and cons and letting them be aware of what are the pros and cons of female circumcision. But when it reaches the UN and the America, female circumcision will end up female genital mutilation. Now, in our rightness of mind, who mutilates his own people? You see how the word play and the concept varies. If we have to change some of our cultures, we change it by bringing the pros and cons, not by saying, oh, this is genital mutilation, this is evil. No, that's not how we change our own people. Inform, teach, educate, and let the people discover on their own. Show them the light. Don't tell them the theory about the light. So what I'm trying to say is, as educated people and those of us who are lucky enough to make it to tertiary studies, let's not be assimilados. Let's not just assimilate whatever we've been taught and parrot it. Let's ask ourselves, is this fitting for our society? Before I say it's genital mutilation and start accusing my grandmother, should I weigh first why they are doing it and how I can curve this mentality into something positive? So this is how we need to struggle, be it politically, economically, and if it means armed, bringing our resources together. My sister talked about being proud of ourselves. I have talked about this. We were supposed to have a second session on identity. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I want to suggest for her, Frantz Fanon. He's a writer. Yes, I'm trying to suggest Frantz Fanon, if she could read it. There is a book called Black Skin and White Mask. It's a beautiful book. Please read it. It's called Black Skin and White Mask. And guys, you know, when we are angry, let us also read. You know, it stimulates me. Sometimes when I get angry, I want to read something more. and this should be also the trend, not only reacting. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Appreciate so much.
This is why we call him.
He is perfect. He's the Minister of Education. Perfect. Sin Elk, you go ahead, and then we're gonna end up with Madara.
Okay. Thank you. Can you guys hear my voice?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very hard to talk after Nat.
He's the Minister of Education.
I think it's very hard to talk after Nate, but he was right on the money. He talked a lot about the important stuff. I really appreciate being part of this panel. Okay, what do we talk about? First, I think the topic was about One Africa. What does that One Africa mean? I want us to think about it. I mean, is it one government? Is it all of us just forget our culture and everything and form just live as a nation? No, I think we should understand what One Africa means. And we should have a vision. We should have a plan on how to unite Africa. Also, we need to have some demands from the international community. And there are things we should avoid. So one thing that Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So we need to have a plan. I think as a mission, first, We need to, our mission should be something related to no hunger in Africa, so food security, like general security as far as military. We need to grow together, develop together. We need to have our own technology, and also we need to bring the diaspora that lives outside back to Africa. How do we do that? So, and why do we do that? But first, we need to avoid colonialism. We need to avoid war, poverty, and also we need to get Africans to unite and defend each other. Earlier, Nate mentioned a very good point. I know we need to strengthen our military, but if that comes before a united Africa, we will use that military to fight each other. So I think we need to keep that in mind. So right now, I want Sudan to grow militarily. If Sudan grew militarily right now and they're stable, they will fight us. So at that point, I don't want Sudan to grow militarily, but I want growth for Africa. So how do we achieve that? I think the best strategy we have is if we're united, and if Africa is one, and we can protect each other. If Sudan stands for me, if Eritrea stands for us, if Djibouti stands for us, everybody work together, not against each other. That's we will be able to achieve that goal. So the other thing is we need to grow together. So growing together means basically learning about each other's culture, learning about each other's technology, things we're doing. So, for example, students, a student from Somalia if they need to, they can go learn some things in Nigeria or other countries. So I think that would be a game changer. And also we need to stand together and stand up for Angola, stand up for Burkina Faso and other countries that are suffering right now. I would love to. I would love to jot down some things and also share it with you guys. So,
can you talk about a little bit about the last point you were about to mention, a little bit more on the diaspora part and how we can, because it's a little bit complicated. There is a lot.
Okay.
But just in a short way, if you can elaborate on that part, because it's a very important topic. And you since it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ezra. I think we could start it in Swahili Nation. And one way we could start it on Swahili Nation to do that is first, we need to have a mission together. If we have a mission together, we could use Swahili Nation to talk about politics, culture, religion, education, music, movies, everything. We dominate everything. Once, let's just have a building point. Like, let's say Swahili Nation gets to 1 million subscribers. Then Swahili Nation will be a franchise, and one talks about a reflection of music. The other talks about reflection of music, movies. The other talks about, and then also we need to make Africa the style, the fashion right now. Okay, so social media right now, African music is booming. So everybody wants to dance Africans. White people, you see them dancing on TikTok about Africans. That's good. That's good. We should use that momentum to talk about movies too, to talk about tourism, to talk about education, and a lot of things we could do in Africa. So like a kid in Nigeria right now that's building an airplane. I don't know. I'm just hypothetically mentioning, but I saw some kid in Africa building an airplane, and I don't even remember the country. Shame on me. But we could use that and find an investor, an African investor, to invest in that kid and do something. And once we promote that enough, and there is that vibe of Africa all over the internet, I think everybody will be attracted to move to Africa. That can only be done in stages. You cannot do it in one day. So, and also, another very good point is how do we feel, like from a feeling standpoint? How do we feel? How would I care about Nigeria right now? What would make me care about Burkina Faso, Nairobi, all those things? What makes me care is if they're my family. We need to have intermarriage. Africans need to marry Africans. So right now, it's not a thing. It's not a thing that, you know, like it's not a thing for a Somalian to marry a Nigerian or other things. So we need to have intermarriage. So that way we're going to be one family. And also we should demand respect from the other nations, from the international community. We need to, the trend is a very like this trend of music and dancing of Africa. That is a big thing. We should use that as a momentum. Like I should be able to speak about rights of Ethiopia while dancing to Ethiopian music, or things like that. Like something that will move the world. And tourism is also big. Do not underestimate this. And also, earlier Nate mentioned, kudos to you. Nate mentioned a very good point. Overthrowing a government should not be a thing. So, what African Union, we should not condemn them as much. That's what we got. We have African Union and we're condemning it on Africa, a United African panel. But instead, right now, they're only focused on politics, political nature of it. But if we have a movement and we go to them and demand for them to expand their dream and goal, we could achieve a lot. We could use African Union to be bigger. So we should not be challenging we should challenge our authorities, but in a good way, where we can make them grow instead of fighting against each other. That's the thing I have.
Senilk, I think you have an amazing ideas. It's great, and so please just first of all, email to us also your WhatsApp number as well. You can email this on One Africa for and more conversation.
Okay.
Because this is an amazing, point of views.
Can I? If I'm too forward, I don't want to be too forward. Stop me, okay? If I'm being too forward, but at least I want to give a hint to people that what is on the work in the background. We're working to translate all this enthusiasm and momentum, and we are actually seeing you as you are incredible inputs. So all these ideas you're talking about, that expanding the nature and the substance of what Swahili Nation does, and growing the One Africa movement to accommodate the whole spectrum of what Africa is looking at, from security to arts and technology. So stay with us along the way, because part of it is also recruiting the people that will be part of the process. So we are seeing a growing demand and need. We don't even want need. So, and what is the need that's One Africa movement and the Swahili nations seeking to address? These are things that we are currently, so think of it as surveying the landscape, because we have people from Caribbean all the way to New Zealand that are coming and listening to us and talking to us. So, but it takes moment, time, but those ideas that you bring when you come here, like Sin did, those are brilliant ideas. Like, you could do this way, you could do this way, it could be this way. Before you know it, you might be the one doing it on this platform, because we're not developing. So I don't want to go too far, because sometimes you don't want to say things out loud, because you're saying you don't want the devil to hear it. So
sure.
I just want to make sure that people feel the sense that there's a direction that we're going. It's not just, we're not just running around in circles.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you, Ezra. Madara, you are the final. Welcome, brother. Hello? We can't hear you. Madara? Hello? Hello, Madara? You are the final. Welcome, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Ross Clark, man, I knew this. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, brothers?
We can hear you.
Yes.
We can. Yeah, we're good. Just go ahead.
No, you can't hear me. Audio.
We can hear you.
Audio too.
Ubuntu, we can hear you.
Me.
Maybe he cannot hear us. Cannot hear you. By the way, I want to say, Sin Elk, I didn't realize, man. I've been talking to Sin Elk for a while through WhatsApp, and I didn't know that it's him, talking here. So, thank you. I asked for his number, and then I realized that we've been talking. So just send to me that email, man. Like, just send them to me. It's good. So we cannot really hear Madara, guys. I think that's the moment. I want to allow the other guys who were constantly asking me to come here, to come on the chat, on the live stream, and to finish up with them. So, I will just give me a moment, because I think the time has gone, and these guys are down there. Guys, you can come in, for those who were asking for the link, and when you come. Let's try to manage a little bit of time, because we are approaching 3 hours right now, and we can end this session before that. Yes, Madara.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry about that as well. Thank you for allowing me to see my last bit. I've been very, very patient.
Yes.
Good guy. I've been very, very patient to listen to Niger and Ezra. I think you people are brilliant people. You've got a good mindset, and I knew intelligent people tend to hear each other out in the end. And as for Mwenda Tezi, he's a very brilliant guy as well. I love hearing from him as well. He's got a lot to say with regards to history and the economy and the political structure around the world. And he's very, very brilliant with that. And I think sometimes we need him, but there's steps to things. Things take steps to get to there. And as for Tunaja, I say, Tunaja, you do struggle to get your point across sometimes. I've heard you make this argument many times, but you do struggle to get your point across. I personally think it's because you don't tend to distinguish between internal security and external security. So you tend to always get challenged on external security. So the people will tell you that you're talking about this, but really and truly, Tunaja, we're not as powerful as them. So if you can manage to find a way in which you can speak how internal security leads to stability and economic development, then all those who go for economic development will mostly agree with you on that stage. But if you just speak about, if you only speak about security alone, they will say that we don't have any external power projection. Do you understand? We don't have any external power projection. So you need to distinguish how internal security leads to stability and economic benefit, and then how that economic benefit from internal security could lead to external power projection. You need to make that distinction, because otherwise you will always get challenged on this issue. But security is very, very much paramount.
Yeah, I think what I tend to say, I often say that when you have stability, which the security institutions will do, because you have more police, you have more customs, your systems will mean that you have more stability, you can enforce your laws, and people will come in. If they feel that there is stability in that country, let's forget about foreigners. The diaspora of Africa alone, we have millions of them overseas that want to return home. I mentioned this yesterday. They will come home and invest in the continent, and that will stimulate growth.
Yeah,
and it will stimulate greater security. It's a kind of feedback loop.
In fact, sorry, Tunaja, sorry. It's not just only the diaspora alone. The stability enables for a market to be able to conduct its business and its everyday business. That safety and that securityness enables for that. When Tezi said Singapore doesn't have any external power projection, but it has internal security enough for them to be able to develop such a market. Singapore is one of the richest places. In fact, they have some of the best looking architecture development there is out there. It's not because they're more powerful than the United States, but they have a very good standard of living because ordinary business is conducted every day through that internal security.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it, that Singapore, of all countries, when you hear about Singapore, you think it's one of those countries that is so clean and nice and they focus only on economy. But look at the back end, solid security, because they know that is how you achieve stability. And our countries have never had that, right from independence. And I really wish our people knew that.
And as for Kagame sometimes in the West, he was seen as a dictator in a way. So if you are against dictatorship in a way, which is fine, you know, I've had many arguments. Dictatorship, there's many ways to go about this as long as you achieve your result, right? Kagame was seen as a dictator, but now they're stopping in a way, which is now they.
Sorry. Sorry for saying. I don't know if Madara, this is your tricky to constantly have conversation.
Sorry. I'm gonna finish.
No. Because this is what you did last time, but it's okay. But also I would like to hear as well. I mean, we'd like to hear your point as well in this.
Okay.
Because you end up just like the two of you.
Yeah. Sorry, Micah. I just wanted to make that. But my actual point, tonight always goes on that. My point is, how do we move on individually from the point where we are right now? How do we get to the solution? How do we get to producing the right type of leaders? You understand? There's a step process. And I always come and emphasize, I always look and say, how did these fucking racists in the West manage to always elect these fucking UKIP? They managed to elect Donald Trump. They managed to elect all these people.
Just language a little bit, because it might be censored because of that.
Okay, all right. How did these xenophobic supremacists always seem to elect? It's not because they seem to organize each other. They seem to propagate a narrative, propagate an ideology within the online space, which then fed into the mainstream space. You understand what I mean? So we can do the same thing, because we right now are in the era of information. This is an information war that we're in. It takes priority before anything else to win over the minds and the type of political mindset our people have. You understand? Right now, we are even winning in the fact, when you look at Burkina Faso, you see how many people rose up against the French. You see how many people are rising up. There's a revolution coming. How can we add to this revolution? How can we on this panel and all other networks speaking about this, how can we add to this revolution coming? And we have to be aware revolutions get hijacked. Revolutions get hijacked, just like what happened with the Arab Spring. How can we make sure we maintain the narrative and control the narrative enough to make sure the revolution works our way? If xenophobic, racist people are able to do it, we also can be able to do it through this networking of online channels speaking Pan-Africanism that reaches all the way down to Africa. We need to add our voices in the ground that's happening. There's signs that I can tell you, I predicted this is what's going to happen. We just need to inject more energy into connecting with the conversations down on the ground in Africa so that we build a majority mindset. As your channel grows, you will get a lot of contenders. You will get a lot of contrarians. So the fact is we have to have the majority. We don't have to be scared of challenges. We have to have the majority mindset and the way of thinking. We have to control the political mood in Africa and the diaspora over here. That's how we should grow. That is how we are going to likely produce the right leaders that will implement plans such as Moendetezi and Tunaija has, such as implementing on security, because the people will start to demand it. We need to build the demand in the diaspora and Africa. And the way we can do it straight from today is by sharing your channel, connecting you with other people that speak the same way, and building a way of thinking, building a type of thinking right across the diaspora and in Africa. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I feel you.
Do you understand? So I know your channel will grow. So Tunaija's plan is brilliant. Without security, you're not going nowhere. But you need to have people that will actually have means to implement that. Like when you look at Frank Afrique, every nation today, Russia, France, Turkey, all of them are engaging in information warfare. Where is our voice in this conversation? Where is our voice in this conversation? They're all trying to win the minds of our people. Where is our voice in this conversation happening in Africa? In fact, I tell you, we are even winning. Our people will gravitate to our message quicker than any other person. We are winning, and we have not even injected nothing. We have not contributed much, but we are still winning because our people are waking up. We need to add to that energy. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. I appreciate, brother. I appreciate. Let me just say this before giving an opportunity to my sister Effie, because I want her to finish the session. But let me just say this, that guys, okay, I'll just say this, Ezra. We have an amazing plan, and let's just wait. We have an amazing plan that we are working on. And you guys who are here, I mean, you'll soon find out about it. And I'm telling you, it's gonna be amazing. So let's hang on there just for a minute, just for a while, just for a while.
So you mean you're just gonna tease us, eh?
because I don't want you guys to leave, all right, to disappear. You just let me just say that first for now. But it's amazing, and I cannot wait for that. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Sounds good.
Yeah. If please, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the second chance again. There has been a mention of a question. I don't remember his name, my brother from Ethiopia. He asked about what One Africa means. And for me, it's all about knowing about each other, respecting one another, treating and trading with one another. It's like we don't need the outside world, to be honest. Is it food? We can get it from one region to the next. Oil, we have it. Is it that we want to be in diamonds? We have it. There is nothing missing in Africa. Trade, it is the most important thing. And it's not about, border questions and things like that. But when we understand that these borders were created for us by a lion, which is like, okay, the West you can take, the South for me, the West for you, and the East for them. When we understand that point, we would totally drop the question of border. It's not about border. It's not about having one central government or whatever. But we need to understand each other's culture. We need to trade with each other. And we need to do much more. We need to do public relations with each other nation-wise, and allowing the exchange of intelligence on different fronts. It could be education, inventions, music, whatever. And I think most of my brothers here know about Coke Studio. I don't know, I'm not so sure, but Coke Studio is one of my high points in life. There's nothing that makes me happy to see brothers and sisters from different parts of Africa celebrating different cultures, but yet on one stage. And that is the kind of unity we should be talking about. We don't need to raise arms, to make change. I understand that we need the power of our militaries, but just like my brother said, if the military is to be built to intimidate each other, then it is nothing. It's powerless, Those things should be built to maintain peace and not intimidate each other. We can take 7 countries in Africa, they produce machine guns, they produce weapons. South Africa, Nigeria, Senegal, Ethiopia, Kenya, even Sudan, we make weapons. Why cannot we trade with each other? It's as easy as that. Maybe not, but in a literal term, it is up to us to take on control. And the next thing is we need to understand also who we are inviting into our homes. Okay, now we are fighting to drive out, French power, the US, the West, whomever, but we are inviting another force as well. I'm not saying this should be the priority, but China is here as well with an economic dominance. And this is going to make us pay in the long run if we don't actually take it seriously as well. To mention some, it has come to my knowledge that China is to take over Uganda's Entebbe airport for a default of debt payment. And this is a recent phenomenon. There are 7 countries that are in debt with China right now. All they do is build, of course, it's buildings and centers and everything like that, but it is another form of domination again. Okay? And, Zambia having $6.5 billion debt to the Chinese government and ranking number 6, the national power utility and the country's national broadcasting agent has been taken over by China because they cannot pay. And I'm telling you, they will knock at each and every nation that they have built buildings for. And we need to be serious about this. And I am sorry to say this, but sometimes I feel like we don't actually do our jobs. I'm not saying that we cannot complain or we shouldn't complain, but 8 hours is not enough. Even the 8 hours, we don't have the luxury of taking coffee breaks. This I promise you, brothers and sisters. We don't have the luxury of losing time. That's the only resource we have right now. And it is running out on us. It is useless to be on Facebook 24/7, for example. It's good that we use those medias, but at the same time, when it is serving as a distraction for whomever it is, then we're losing. We are fighting a lot of battles, but yet they are not even our fights. We have a lot of power within ourselves, and we need to actually recognize those things. And in order to do that, we have to start by raising awareness. Raising awareness is the main thing and the essential thing for African communities. My brother, for example, I think his name was Geta. He mentioned about, thank God we are educated, or we claim to be educated. And if we are woke enough to be sitting here discussing about Africa, he mentioned about he can do so many things for Ethiopia. No hard feelings, but if he is listening, I want him to hear this. It is a good step that he wrote an email to the Prime Minister, but I don't think that's the smartest way to go. The Prime Minister is not there to read individual emails, There are designated bodies that are there to answer to citizens' questions. For example, in his case, the National Defense Force. Write to them, or even better, go there to the office, visit them. Why not? We need to take the steps first before we start pointing fingers at our leaders. We need to respect what they are trying to do for us, because nobody is going to respect them for us. We need to start respecting ourselves first, and then we can hold them accountable. But are we taking the right direction? That's a question for us, for each and every one of us to answer, I would say. And I'm not saying, you know, like we don't need to have international powers, not powers, but, you know, allies or friends present in our countries. But even in the 70th centuries, back in the days, you know, I think it was Emperor Fasilides who initiated a closed door policy in Ethiopia. And it lasted for 2 centuries. He cut all the relationships with the West, Europe, whomever you call it. If somebody that lived in the 17th century understood that there were problems due to the presence of alien powers within our country, how are we not seeing it right now? Let's have friends, but we need to understand who we are opening our doors to. And we need to put the work, not 8 hours. We cannot be sleeping 16 hours. We cannot be watching, we cannot afford to be watching TV. We cannot afford to be on TikTok. We just cannot. Most of the things we're doing right now is something that is generating money for people, but it's not adding value to the society. It's not adding any substance to the society. That's why we don't see any growth. There is nothing. If I stand and dance in front of a mirror or TikTok, of course I get views. Of course I get money. But what did I do? Absolutely nothing. And this is what happens, and this is what we fall for 24/7. And we have already lost our power, like willingly. So we need to understand what we're doing wrong, where we're going wrong, and awareness raising should be the most important thing. And one last mention is we need to understand the concepts or the terms that we're using, like democracy or humanitarian aid or humanity or whatever. Those things, those are subjective. We cannot copy paste them from the Western world. It just does not work, you know? As I have a human rights background, one of the dilemmas in studying human rights is whether it is practicable or not. And the conclusion is human rights is actually an illusion. When it comes to practicality, it's not possible, because it's not something that is to be granted by somebody. It is something that you already have. It is something that you take. You cannot sit and wait to be granted human rights. It just doesn't happen. That's why it doesn't work. We are talking about humanitarian. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. Democracy, it's an illusion. Let me give you one example. As a woman, you know, people say, you know, okay, I have a right. You can do whatever you want. You can go naked if you want to, because it's your body. Nobody can say anything to you. Okay, if you give me that liberty in my head, I can go ahead and do it. Because yes, of course, it is my body. But is it going to be for the good of the community? No, because nobody wants to see that. Because I am deflating from the societal norm, the accepted norm. So when we talk about, you know, secessionists, you know, this group and that group, we need to understand the majority. And that's why majority rule is there, because you cannot satisfy every individual. You just cannot. We need to understand this, you know, secession and, you know, give me my own rights and things like that. Before you claim the rights, you need to understand what the bigger picture, what the bigger norm, what the bigger love is, which is Ethiopia, which is Kenya, which is Ghana, Tanzania, everywhere, which is Africa. There is no borders. So we need to strengthen, you know, the cultures and the connection between us. And I would like to rest my point by thanking Nate for the mention of the book, Black Skin and White Mask. I will be trying to find that book and read it.
You're most welcome, man. Thank you for your point. I talked in depth also yesterday about the same point, and I'm really glad to hear this point being repeated, and thank you for sharing this view with me.
Yes. Thank you so much, Afai.
Thank you.
That was amazing. I want to challenge you guys one thing. We have 2 minutes before I close. I want to challenge all of you to say one sentence as a closing word, just one sentence. Okay. I mean, one sentence for others, it could be very long, my Niger brother, but one sentence, just very, very short sentence. And as you're thinking about that, I want to remind everybody, I have a little things that I want to share with you guys here, everybody who is watching. If there's someone there who is good and gifted at making, websites, and you want to contribute somehow, please reach out to us. oneafricaofficial@gmail.com. We can discuss about it. And also, we need someone who can write a what is that? Let me see here. We need someone who can the Google document, because we wanna register everybody, in this movement. So if there's someone out there who can, make the Google document that will share with everybody in the forum and everybody out there, for you guys to put your details there and some other stuff, please, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to us.
Mika, can I say something a little about the form? The form is like, people can be members to the channel that would generate income, but not everybody can be a member. But there are a lot of people who cannot afford or don't have the means of, like, say, the credit card system, the financial system that doesn't allow them. But we want to make sure we track all the members on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on here, who are here listening to us. We want to ask them the form. So we want somebody who can build the form, the Google form. It could be just Google form or any form, where we survey, we take names, contact details, and what they're interested in, what they can contribute. All of those things can be asked in that form. And that database could also be the basis for which we can build something here. I just wanted to expand on that.
Exactly. Somebody already volunteered. So called Benjamin Mategeko. He said he's going to do it right away. So I hope you got the details of that Google form, how it should be, right? Okay. So and you can send to us at oneafricaofficial@gmail.com. They do it. So guys, one sentence. It's already the time is done, but I'm still gonna give you guys one sentence. If this is your punchline, like you want people,
should I go first?
Everything that we talk today, you want like people not to forget this, that one thing that everybody will live with tonight.
I'll go first, and then they get out. Like what I see is in Africa, the information, we are right now at an information warfare. That's the war where we are at. That's right now. That's where we're at. Information warfare. And the people in Africa, you can see spikes of the revolution starting by Burkina Faso and all the protests happening. How is it that Africa, they don't have good internet as much as we do over here, but yet they're still able to feel that emotion happening, right? So my thing is, we are at information warfare. How can we at the diaspora add into that information warfare that everybody is engaging into? Because we need the right leaders to start to emerge all over the African continent, all across the African continent. We need the right leaders to start to emerge, leaders that can be able to collaborate with each other. We need that, and in order to get that, we need to build the mindset. Sorry, I'm gonna finish. I'm not gonna be that long. Trust me. We need the right leaders to start emerging right across the continent. And to do that, we need to build a type of mindset. And by doing that, we need to collaborate. We need to be the majority type of mood and thinking in the West and in Africa. You understand? So we are at an information warfare. What can we inject into this battle? What can we actually do? You understand? Right now, what we're doing for Ethiopia is actually what's happening right now. Can we do that for the rest of Africa? Thank you.
All right.
Okay, should I go next? You know, as somebody that is Nigerian and based in the UK, what I can say is that this issue of security is something that anybody that is in any doubt that is at the heart of the problems that we have been facing, then they really need to go and re-examine the structure of their countries. To compare it with any other country, you will see the same thing. And even when people don't know, they say it's just like an example that we saw today. Even when they try to use an example of a country, you end up proving them the point I'm making. And this is why I'm very alarmed. And the scary thing is that, funny enough, uniquely, I'm the only person that seemed to have actually looked at this and complained. I've never heard it anywhere. I was the one that found this information myself, because I was just saying, what is wrong with our countries? And you look into this information, you just see a hole nobody's talking about. A whole, even Ethiopia is investing 0.5% in their defense. The whole black sub-Saharan African countries are doing the same thing. It's almost as if they are all uniformly, they agreed that this is what we are going to do, or they threaten them that that's what needs to happen. And if that is the case, why are we surprised that we're having so many problems? We are the only group in the world that has a number of over 1 billion that doesn't control their destiny. If we keep thinking, oh, you're going to do education, you're going to do anything else to make up for it, it will fail. We've done it for the last 60 years. We need to start asking, demanding from our leaders that we don't want militias. We don't want you to be flying overseas to go and treat yourselves. We want you to put law and order as number one in our countries. You know, we should not fall for this human rights language that people use and democracy and all this stuff, because those are the language of people that have the privilege. In UK today, they passed a law quietly that will allow them to strip your citizenship without notice from you. This is a nation, when it suits them, they'll talk about human rights. And when it doesn't suit them, you'll see their teeth. They will, if they were facing the same condition Africans are facing today, you'll be surprised how draconian they will be. Because that's how they were before. So we have to realize this and demand from our leaders that we first need to make sure that our nations are secure, because a Kenyan should be asking themselves today, if one other nation wants to destabilize them, how easily could that happen? In Nigeria, oh, we all know it's happening in Nigeria. But if you're a stable country, you should be asking yourself, do you have any way of stopping it? And if you don't, you want to start working towards it. And strategically, we need to start thinking big. This is why I'm engaged with the African Americans because of their proximity to power. If African Americans, even themselves, inherit 1% of their inheritance in that country, Africa doesn't have anybody to fear. That's how powerful America is. And that is why they are the linchpin. And they may actually be the reason why we are still standing today. Because what is stopping them? They know if they want to come and invade Africa, they need America. If they want to do that, and the African Americans are going to go crazy, because they make up at least 15% of their military. And probably more of the ones that are actually going to fight in the front lines. How do you send them to come and invade Africa? So we need to start thinking big and realizing that we have levers of power in different parts of the world, and we can lobby them, we can lobby our African leaders to do what we want to secure ourselves. I'm not going to ask for education because our people are educated. I'm not going to ask for food. We don't have food anyway. They're not going to give you the food overnight. The reason why we don't have those things, it always comes back to one issue of security. And I say, we should not forget that at the top of our list, we should be demanding it. And you'll be surprised the look on the face of your leaders when they hear you demanding security. You know what that will mean? The police officer will be on your side. The military will be on your side.
All right, Nigel. Appreciate it, brother.
I would just strengthen a little bit of what Nigel has said with examples.
How many minutes have I been talking?
Huh?
How many minutes have I been talking?
Oh, it's more than 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes. I've seen people talk for 4-5 minutes here.
We are wrapping up.
The thing is, guys, I challenged you to finish with one sentence because everything that we are saying right now, we have already spoken about them.
So just to add example, Rwanda is an example. I visited Rwanda. What surprised me is the depth and the substantive nature of the security apparatus. It's not something that is observable from outside, but when you go to Rwanda, the way the security apparatus works from visible to invisible is quite profound. So it really explains exactly. So Rwanda, after the genocide, took the initiative and the steps to work on the security apparatus. It's a small, tiny country, but it's holding a lot of big countries at bay. And that's because they have organized the security. They saw security as a core of what they built. They don't necessarily advertise it because it's the nature of security. But I think I just wanted to strengthen Naja's point on that one. But the last thing I want to say is the urgency of what we have in front of us, be it in Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, Sudan. Please demand that African Union is forced at least to make a statement, not because it might create results, but I can tell you that the way the Ethiopian Prime Minister is using the notion of Africa as a part of the war is scared a lot of Europeans and Americans to step back. Europe was planning to place sanctions on Ethiopia on November 4. Now they've stepped back and say, no, hold on. They are saying, hold on, because they thought they were dealing with these minions, some dictator somewhere in Africa who is 1/3 human. They look down on him, but Abiy subliminally and then now more increasingly overtly, he's been signaling and sending message. You are not fighting just Ethiopia. You are fighting Africa, not because he probably believes it or not, but he's realized tactically in his strategy in the battle with the powers that be that are coming in, trying to pressure, that kind of puts them in the back here, because none of these countries want to be seen. At least they might have the plan, but they don't want to be seen publicly to want to colonize Africa, even though they are probably doing that in some subverts and covert way. So what I wanted to point out, the point I wanted to make at the beginning of it, the urgency of you Africans, fellow Africans, demanding that your leaders really make a case and they become loud. The louder the leaders are, the more it pushes these European countries who worry the perception more than the reality. They worry about the perception of being seen new colonizers, even though they are. But we have to play on that. That's the Achilles heel at this moment in the 21st century. We need to take advantage. How do we do it? Ethiopians demand your government to invoke the AU Charter on Security. Demand. Thank you.
Is there an AU Charter, sorry, that you can invoke?
Come again?
Can you repeat me on that, please? I'm sorry, the host. He said something about AU Charter that they can invoke on security. What does that do?
So it will force an emergency meeting. It will make Ethiopia will make the case that they are not fighting just TPLF, that they are fighting Western power organized to support that. It will put it on public record. And then so far, so I'm just saying that it's an extension of what Abiy has been doing already. Okay. So by linking his battle with TPLF with Africa, that has put a lot of European powers on the defensive. At least the European powers, Germany, Italy, Spain, now even more France, they're being put on the defensive because of that. And America, who was on the precipice of placing sanctions on Ethiopia, now is taking a step back and having to say, oh, Africa is no longer a geopolitical theater. is a geopolitical force. Now it's the rhetoric. I'm not going to overstate the meaning of what they say, other than just because they are forced to say it. And the reason they are forced to say it is because Abiy. Now, what I'm saying to people in Ethiopia is push Abiy to escalate that to the next level, make it even more official on AU platforms, or even possibly at the UN platform. Not necessarily gets you something done, but it gives you a breathing space to figure out all these other things that you need to figure out in between in the process of resolving this crisis. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Thank you for clarifying that, because I didn't know that they could do something like that. I know that Egypt will look for a way to try to thwart it as much as possible, because they are the ones that will be, I wouldn't say necessarily smiling about it, but they will be happy to see that Ethiopia is having difficulties, so that dam is not successful one way or the other. But that is that anyway. Right. I'm not even sure that is accurate statement. Sometimes I say things, I don't take it true. I wouldn't like to think that you Egyptians
they will stand up. They will stand up to Ethiopia. They will use the AU platform to prevent any common statement from AU. AU has to make probably a compromise statement that is expected. But Ethiopia need to raise the case. We need to invoke that charter. By invoking that charter, it itself has this kind of like a creates a specter of crisis that is escalated. And the Western powers will have to think twice about moving forward with their agenda. And then, so that's anyways, I don't want to drag this conversation. Mika has...
So are you all based in Kenya?
I'm based in the US. Mika is in Tanzania. So.
Oh, Tanzania. Oh, I see.
Yes.
I
don't know why people they think... I don't know why people they think I'm Kenyan, because not only you, but I receive a lot of comments like that. Even right now, message.
Whenever we think of Swahili, we think Kenya is the headquarter or something. I don't
know about Swahili. You have to use Tanzania. It was invented in Tanzania.
I see. Okay,
that's where I was born. That's where I was born. He grew up in Kenya and then he died in Uganda. We have that say.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you for having me today, and always happy. There are a lot of things I'm doing in the background myself, and sometimes it's slow. It's not easy. You have to do this stuff, so it takes its time. So I'm sure a lot of people are doing it. Some of them are doing it silently. They're not talking too much. So all these things. Maybe in our life, I think in our lifetime, we are going to see a transformation of things on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
For Niger and my brother Nati, you guys, you can share this channel because there's something really good coming, and I'm sure you guys will be happy. Nati,
do you have a timeline for that?
For that?
Yeah.
Yes. I guess.
Can I give an overview? The timeline depends on how we accelerate engagement and participation with the channel. So the more we do, as those of you who are listening also, or those of you on this platform, the more you do to promote the channel, and the more the subscription, the more power that Mika and his team will have, and his team is you. That's it. You are so Mika. I'm advising Mika on the background on building the structure and the organization necessary to accommodate this huge vision that we are thinking about. But he needs that. So timeline depends on how quickly we get to 1 million or so, and then the more audience are there, the more resources he can mobilize. In fact, even monetizes in such a way that it's sustainable. The monetization is not necessarily for profit, but for sustainability of it. And so that it's not just him. There's a much broader team of people who feel like we are not just, passionate activists, but we also, very smart, intelligent, operators, executors of things. So that's the next thing.
Yeah, I think you are moving already now, almost 200,000. So carry on the good work, and we'll celebrate 1 million very soon. And you will need a catalytic event if you want it to be quick, and just create a plan, a blueprint, and you'll be there in no time. I'll do my bit.
Definitely. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, then you take care.
Thank you, bro. You too. Hi, brother Nati. I don't know if Nati you're gonna fulfill my vision, of one sentence, but let me see what you got.
Yes, I wouldn't say my own words since it's a Pan-African event. I want to close with one sentence from the Ubuntu philosophy. I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am.
Ho, 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 ho. I never heard the last one before.
Oh, this guy, man. Oh,
I hope
can you send?
it's good enough. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted you to send in the
I
private chat, but repeat it.
I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am. This is the Ubuntu philosophy. There is no me independent of the community, and it's because of the community that I am. So that's the meaning.
Do you know that's a breakthrough thinking in the world that we live in?
It's called Ubuntu philosophy.
Yeah.
Ubuntu means a man. Umuntu, mtu, Swahili. There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. That's deep. There's no other way to finish this. So, guys, let's just get out of here. I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am.
Good night, Africa.
Good night, Africa. Good night. One Africa.
One Africa.
Mika, you gonna do a prayer a little bit before we?
Oh yeah. Okay. Why don't you do for us today?
I'm not a good prayer person.
No.
The words are not like I can pray in my mind, but I can't pray in public.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today, and thank you for this discussion and this forum, for all the speakers and all participators and all of us, God, that have contributed today in one way or another. Thank you, because Africa is not just for Africans, but Africa is for you, is yours. So we give back what is yours. And thank you for giving us these ideas and give us this knowledge and give us this passion to fight for what is rightful ours, because you have given us, and no one else can take away from us what you have given us. So we're going to cherish it, we're going to protect it, and we're going to make sure that it's going to develop our people, it's going to develop us, and it's going to change the entire future of our children in this beautiful continent that you've given us. So let your will be done. And we are committed and dedicated to continue to make it possible. So please give us strength, give us wisdom, and give us power to be able to fulfill that vision that you have given us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Architect.
Wow. And the first super chat for today, somebody just donated here and say, thank you, my Tanzanian brother. I'm so proud to be an Eritrean, but an African first. This is what we need desperately, bringing Africans together.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who continues to support this movement, this initiative to bring Africa together. It's a grassroots movement, and you're by attending, listening, sharing, and liking, and bringing other people to join and subscribe, and by contributing in one form or another. If you are interested in working on websites, if you are interested in building the organization that we are building here, because the organization is necessary. If you everybody who comes here and gives powerful points, willing to debate and educate and empower and create not just individual agency, but community agency, we salute you. That's it. Thank you.
And let me just say this, guys, Ezra is the brain, okay? He's the brain. That's a new name I baptized him with. He is the brain. I might look smart, I might speak smart, but it's not only me. There are people who are behind me. And one of those people is Ezra. He's the brain. So everything that you hear here is not my all ideas, but I have the brain behind me that is there to speak and to make me look this good. So appreciate the brain, and God bless you so much.
Thank you.
You are the
God
brain.
bless everyone. And it's by God's grace. I am thankful to God for being the messenger here and to use my brain for the right use and for the right good. Thank you. I appreciate you, Mika, for recognizing me. It means a lot to me to be recognized. It's more than any. There's no price in the world. $80 trillion is the size of the world economy. That doesn't pay for it. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here you have it, the brain. Appreciate, brother. Good night. All right. Tell Tres, you say something here I want to respond to. Somebody say here, no religion. Religion is part of us. It's part of us. And it's not about religion, but it's about faith and relationship with God. So you have faith and you have what you believe on. I have faith and I have what I believe on. We're gonna do that because that's one of the reasons that divides Africa. But we're gonna come together with our religion freely to pray, freely to talk about it, freely to do whatever. And even if you feel like, you know what, I'm tired of hearing your prayer, I want to be coming as well to pray, you can always come. You can pray, you can pray. We can always come. And that's one of our wish we've always been asking for. If we can get our brother here or our sister from, Islamic religion to come here and to pray as well. It has been our ask for a while. So that's part of us, and we're not going to separate from this movement. I appreciate you all. Have a good night. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the memberships. Thank you for those who are still donating. It's amazing that people are still donating to the trip. And let me share with you guys here. These are just final thoughts. It's crazy and it's beautiful that people are still donating for this trip. So thank you. Thank you all that are still donating. This is going to help a lot. And you can see that the trip to Ethiopia is just around the corner. And we're going to be coming here one day to let you guys know. But also because of a lot of reasons, you guys might just find out that I am there in Ethiopia. You might just find out that I'm there because of a lot of reasons that I don't want to go through that. But you might find out that I am there in Ethiopia. And you will know it because you will see it everywhere. So continue to pray for this. I continue to pray for this trip and continue to pray for us. I love you guys. And I want to say this at last. Thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for all your supports. Thank you for all your thoughts and prayer. And thank you for all of your dedication here to One Africa Forum. For the speakers, listeners, people who are messaging, people who are sharing, people who are subscribing. I love you all. And you guys are playing a big role in building this One Africa Forum. One day, when you reach there, you guys will be able to look back and say, you know what? I have my hand on that. And that credit is for you and only you. And everything that is happening here, the credit is unto God. God deserves the praise, deserves the credit, deserves all of this, because no human being can bring people together like what is happening here. No human being without God, without God's presence. So no, I wanna say that clearly, that God is behind this. And that's why we are not going to leave God out of this movement. We are not. And that maybe pretty much is the biggest difference of this movement and any other movement out there. We are not going to leave God. We're going to take him with us. We're going to be with him. We're going to walk with him together as one. And we are going to see one Africa one day. Trust my word. Mark my words. All right, guys. Thank you for this. This is the last thing. I just found out this. Ta-da. Thank you. Thank you. Love you. Good night, Africa.